Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, June the 2nd. We are starting promptly at 9 a.m. This is the Cosmetology and Barber Examiners regularly scheduled board meeting. My name is Roxana Gamusio, and I'm the Executive Director for this profession. As first order of business, we will do roll call vote, if that's okay, Ms. Russell, thank you. When I call your name, please go ahead and let me know that you are here. Remember that the mics will only let 4 of us at any given time speak. Mr. Perry Baldwin.
Present.
Thank you. Anita Charlton. Monica Lemons, not here. Miss Judy McAllister.
Here.
Thank you. David McElreath. Here. Thank you. Marquise Martin.
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Jeffrey Moran. Not here. Lane Petty, not here. Ms. Becky Russell.
Here.
Thank you. Amy Tanksley.
I'm here.
Thank you. Ms. Tamika Turner.
Here.
Thank you. And Mr. Hobby Wise. Okay. We do have 8 in order to proceed, so we have quorum, and we will get started. Ms. Russell, I'll turn it over to you before we take off.
Would you like to introduce our new board member?
I would. I was going to give you the honors, but yes, thank you. Members, we have Ms. Lori Phelps is starting with us today, her first board meeting. She is our esthetician on the board, replacing Mona Sappenfield. So welcome on behalf of everyone. Would you like to say anything to the board?
I'm really happy to be able to serve.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're giving her the option to make a mad dash. Welcome to the board. Lori and I have known each other for years, so we're happy to have you.
Wonderful. And we do have students, I believe, joining us today, so we're very fortunate.
Thank you to all of our students in schools that are here. If you are from a school, if you will have one person stand up and introduce your school. Welcome to all of our students and instructors as well. We have quite a few students here, and we welcome you all. It's very exciting to have a full house again. All right, we're ready to proceed.
Thank you. Yes, welcome to everyone. We will get started. Members, the first order of business is approving the agenda. The agenda was posted on the board's website since June of 2024. This particular updated agenda was posted by March 27th, giving everyone the opportunity to see what will be presented today. I would need a motion and a second to accept the agenda as it's presented, unless you have any changes.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. The next order of business is the minutes for April of 2025's board meeting. Those were emailed to all the members, as well as the redacted legal report, of course, and the agenda. If you have any updates to it, please let me know. Otherwise, I would need a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the minutes from our last meeting. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, and welcome to our members. We have everyone here today. We're going to get started on the presentation with our new schools. The first item on your agenda and on your iPads is Austin's Beauty College. This is a change in location for Ms. Linda Austin, who's participating on the call. The school is moving within Clarksville. The floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan were presented before you. Just a quick recap, and anyone that has the agenda will see we actually have 12 schools today. It's the most we've had. 4 are change in location, 4 are additional campuses or branches, and 4 are brand new. The meeting will conclude at 12:30, so I may have to keep us on task if we're getting a little bit too lengthy, but I want to make sure everybody's had an opportunity to look at everything. I will turn it over to you, Ms. Russell, and Ms. Linda Austin, are you on the call, or anyone from Austin's Beauty?
I'm here.
Oh,
She's gonna be my spokesperson.
Today.
there you go. And, yeah, it has to be read for them to hear.
All right. Good morning. I'm Lori Gibbs. I'm Miss Austin's daughter, so yeah. Sure. We're located in Clarksville, Tennessee. We've been in operation since 1968. We currently I have offerings for cosmetology, aesthetics, and we just launched our nail program in January.
We always like to know how far is the move and will it be any hindrance for the students?
We are working with Queen City College, who recently closed. It is their former campus. They have been very good to us. We've been able to employ 2 of their instructors. Also, many of their clientele have come on board with us, so they've been very beneficial in this move. It's within about 3 miles, if I remember mapping it out correctly. It's about twice the size of our location now. We currently have additional campus classrooms a half a mile down the road, so we're very excited about bringing the entire school into one location. That has worked for us for 6 years, but we're outgrowing that at this point, so
Well, we're happy to hear about your growth.
thank you.
As far as your paperwork, it looks like everything was in order. There was one thing that I've either missed or was not there, and that is that the student signs before payment.
Yes, absolutely. I would have to look at that to give you the exact page number, but I do know that that is correct.
Okay. So
Yes.
as long as that is, the student signs knowing that they are enrolling and it's before payment, then that's the
Absolutely.
only
It's
notes.
typically at least a week. We don't do anything until they have signed that paperwork, and then payments taken within that week, sometimes even at orientation, depending.
Perfect.
Thank you.
That's all the notes that I have. Board members, do you have any questions?
Roxana, this school's in good standing?
Yes, ma'am.
I would say we make a motion to approve the change of location.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the change of location. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Roxana, are you having inspectors go to all the change of locations as well?
Yes, ma'am. They go regardless. We don't have a board member go unless you all decide for a particular reason that you want to go, but the field inspectors will go even if it's an apprenticeship-only school, classroom, or whatever. So yes,
Okay.
when they're ready, they'll let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, you're going to skip to page 76 on your iPads. This is Dream Builders Academy. It is a new specialty natural hair styling school. I will let everybody get to the page, and then we will start. Ms. Bernice Hardaway is on the call with us participating. The school is located in Bolivar. The application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and the contingency plan were all received timely. Ms. Russell, I will turn it over to you. Ms. Hardaway, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Perfectly. Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Hardaway, would you like to
Thank-
tell us a bit about your school?
Yes, ma'am. Dream Builders Academy is a school that will be located in Bolivar, Tennessee for natural hair. It is the vision that was inspired by me by recognizing a real need in our community for education in natural hair care and the opportunity for certified braiders to advance their skills and obtain a license in natural hair care. In our rural area, currently there is no accessible option for this kind of education that I'm aware of. So one must have to travel to bigger cities to be able, I know I did, to be able to, depending on the location, which would be probably about 60 plus miles, which can make it difficult for someone to get back and forth to school. So Dream Builders Academy will fill that gap and help local talent grow in our community.
Okay, can you tell me about how many students that you might have? What is your goal for that?
At this, we have no students at this time, but I'm working on that to promote to be able to get some students and maybe start by maybe 5 at a time.
Okay, one of my questions would be the number of stations. An inspector will come out and inspect your school. I know that there's no minimum requirement for a specialty school. However, we do expect that each student that would be working on a clinic floor would have their own station. So just keep that in mind as you move forward, depending on the number of students that you might have.
Yes, ma'am.
Your paperwork looks really good. It looks like it's in order. There is one note that I have for you, and that's on your page 7, hour 86. It mentions the name of a different school. And you've
Yes,
probably worked with someone else to help you with your paperwork. And so if this handbook belonged to them, it's just a place that you've missed, changing it to the name of your school.
Yeah, and also I was kind of indifferent with what name that I was going to be using as well. I had a couple on the table, and so any notes, so that was a typo. I will correct that.
Board members, do you have any questions?
Is this an apprenticeship school or will you offer the full course?
No, ma'am, it's not an apprenticeship. I will offer the full course.
Okay. And I know, again, that there's not a square footage requirement for specialty schools, but you just wanted to go, pick up where you left off, Ms. Russell, about the floor plan, the spacing for the school. Just making sure that, especially now, with it being a school where you will allow the public to come in, just making sure that there's space for the public and the client and the student. Making sure there's adequate spacing for that. And what is
Yes,
this,
ma'am.
the square footage on your space?
Approximately 1,200.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this school. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all.
Congratulations, Ms. Hardaway. Let me know when you're ready to be inspected.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you all so much.
Absolutely.
Have an awesome day.
Members, the next school starts on page 111 on your iPads. This is the Academy of Nail Artistry, LLC. This is a new specialty manicure school. This is one of the branch schools. Ms. Bianca Dion is participating on the call, I believe. This school,
She's behind you.
East, okay, good. No, she is here in person. We have a full room. So it's awesome to have her here. They have a school that has been licensed as a barber school since December of 2014. So this is actually a branch school for them. The application, floor plan, and enrollment agreement, along with the catalog and contingency plan, were received timely. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Bianca. And Ms. Russell, it's all yours.
You can go ahead and step up.
Welcome. Would you like to tell us a bit about your school?
Sure. So this is a brand-new school in Knoxville. There's not really a nail program specifically for nails in the Knoxville area. The students who are seeking that type of education are having to travel to Morristown or Sweetwater for that training. So this is an offering to the Knoxville community that would allow those students to specialize in their field of study.
All right, we're going to go over your paperwork. I did not find a backup for your timekeeping method.
We do paper copies as well as the vein reading time clock.
You will need to put that in your paperwork somewhere.
Okay.
I did not find it. That doesn't mean it's not there, but I haven't been able to locate it.
I do believe it's in there, but I'll definitely make sure to double check it.
Thank you. You have a statement in there in your enrollment requirements, board members. It's on our page 128, your all's page 6. And it has something about providing a 2-year degree that can be applied toward a bachelor's degree. And I was a little unclear about the bachelor's degree statement.
I'm not sure why that's in there. Can I pull up my copy? I have it
Sure.
with me real quick.
It's on your page 6.
Beautiful. Page 6. What section is it under?
It's number 4. It's under.
What did you say it was under? I'm sorry.
It's under your management program enrollment requirements, under admissions. It's, asking about, what you can provide.
Where's it at?
For the group education.
It says, can also provide a
Oh, if they
2-year
provide us with an associate's degree, that's greater education than a high school diploma. So I can accept that, showing that they've completed a high school diploma.
That's fine, but it says applied toward a bachelor's degree. So it almost sounds like
That
you're,
was what the VA made us word it like, that it has to be considered a 2-year associate's degree that could be applied towards a further education degree. So that was the way they made me word it.
okay.
So that's what I went with.
I was just unclear.
Yeah.
To me, whenever I read that, I thought, can I go there and get a bachelor's degree? Okay.
No, it's just so that way that they show that they've completed at least the minimum of a high school plus, if they weren't able to find their diploma.
Gotcha. On your page 7, just a side note, it tells you to send off your score approval for your licensure with your fee, and we no longer send those
Yeah.
off, but it's an online.
I will change that to be submitting online.
Board members, on our page 133, let's see what that number, it's your page 11. You have stated that you all will keep records for 5 years. And we would prefer that you keep them for 7 because they're good for 7.
Okay.
So accreditation a lot of times will only require 5 years, but if they come back after 5 years, then their hours may still be good.
Okay, I will change it to 7.
On the next page, you have listed, you have listed that they cannot exceed 150% of their maximum time period. That would be 900 hours for a manicuring program.
That was
rather
because it
than-
was Barber.
Right.
I'll change that.
On 136, let's see, your page 14. I'm not really clear about this. Maybe you're saying that it's $150 transfer hour fee. But it appears that if they're transferring out of your school into another school, that you're gonna charge them $150. You have to provide for them the transfer withdrawal form. It's required. So I just want to make sure that you're not charging that student for something that is required.
No. That's $150 like transfer hour registration fee for us to register the hours into our system.
So for them coming to you, not
Yes,
going away
not
from
going
you.
out.
Gotcha.
Ms. Russell, I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Are we required to give them a hourly rate? I'm asking because as far as the SAPs, it says about 2 months. If they are not in compliance for 60 days, that they will be fined, they'll be assessed $1,000 every 60 days, and that's about 2 months. Like, should that be broken, and this is just a question, just on my knowledge. Should it be broken down into hourly rates, or can you just say, oh, well, in 60 days, we'll charge you $1,000, but what if they correct it within 30 days, like?
Then they're
I
not
think that
charged.
that is a business decision and
Okay.
outside of our scope, so I
Okay.
don't know that that is something that we would assess.
Okay, okay.
The last note that I had for you, and it's simply just kind of a cleanup because I know you've gone from barber to manicuring.
Yes.
You've mentioned like if they damage your property, that you're using examples of like color and curling iron versus, I don't know,
will
nail
change that.
polish or,
To fingernail polish or
right?
acetone.
That's all of the notes that I have, members, if you have more questions.
I make a motion to approve. I'll second.
We have a motion to approve as well as a second. All in favor? And I will abstain.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank
We look
you.
forward to having
Thank
you.
Thank you, members. The next item is on page 149 of your iPads. This is the Aesthetics and Lash Academy. It's a new specialty aesthetics school. Ms. Jocelyn Hardiman is on the call participating with us. This school's located in Jackson. The application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan were all received timely. Ms. Russell, I will turn it over to you. Can you hear me, Ms. Hardiman?
Good morning. Yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. Hardiman. Would you like to tell us a bit about your school?
Yes, I'll be located in Jackson, Tennessee, offering the aesthetic program, the eyelash specialist, and instructor program.
Okay. We'll get started with your paperwork. Most of it looks like it is in order. I did have a question about your graduation requirements. Also, you don't have page numbers, so that makes it a little more difficult for us. You will need to add page numbers to your documents. The graduation requirements, I think that they may actually, there are some things that you've said for satisfactory completion. I just want to make sure that those are all of your graduation requirements and maybe label it as such. And then on our page 157, this, let's see, for you, it says type an amount and it gives some like tuition, application fees. It's on that page. And you have a statement in there that reads, the student must complete a minimum of blank % of the total program hours in order to be eligible for satisfactory completion. And it appears that you would write in, 90% or 80% or whatever the percentage might be, but they are actually required to meet 100% of the hours. You are specifically teaching an hours program, so until 100% is met, they cannot reach satisfactory completion.
Okay, I can go on there and just put in 100% for every application.
I just didn't like that you had a blank there that you could have written in something different. Members, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question about your floor plan. What is the square footage of your facility?
It's about 1,100 square feet.
Gotcha. I don't know, it's kind of minimal, so I really just can't necessarily tell what you got going on in this place here. I don't know, could we require just a little bit better representation of the floor space and you know, the breakdown of it, just because this is just really, really, really basic, you know? I feel like we got a standard, and that just, the floor plan falls below the standard.
One of the saving grace, I think, that we have with the floor plan is that there will be an inspector who goes out to visit the space. So
Gotcha.
they can kind of double check those things. I'm not saying that you can't require something different for the floor plan, but I do feel like that's what makes me a little less focused on the floor plan.
Gotcha.
Some give us excellent, one's from an architect, others are kind of just scratched out on paper. Either way, it will not pass if the inspector does not find what's necessary.
I'm good with that. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. How many students are you planning to have in this space with only 2 facial rooms and it only being 1,100 square feet? How many students are we planning on putting in a classroom versus being in basically 2 facial rooms and then a wax room? Will that be a dual-purpose room to be able to have 3 students doing facials? I'm just concerned about the number of students in that space.
Yes, I'm only doing 4 students at a time, and yes, I'm able to kind of do like dual rooms to where like we can do facials like in the wax area because they both have the same beds, and also like the lash stations, we could use those for facials as well. And vice versa, if I needed to use like some of the facial beds for a lash station.
Will lash instruction and aesthetic instruction be going on simultaneously in the classroom? Or will there be separate space for that instruction if they're enrolled at the same time?
They won't be the same hours.
So in regards to the floor plan, and I understand that the inspectors are going out, but this is, it doesn't give us anything to, to beforehand, before they get there. And I do want to request that before we approve, that it's flushed out a little bit more, showing the classrooms and, the working areas, the entrances, the restrooms, all of those things before, before we approve. Just giving us, a little bit more detail on the space.
Could I interject?
Are you wanting me to explain?
Yeah. I believe, and correct me, Ms. Turner, if you're wrong, at the bottom of the floor plan on page 152, we've got 2 eyelash stations. So when the field inspector goes, they take this map with them. They take this floor plan. So these will have to be true stations for the eyelash. And if they're going to use it also to do facials, it would be the chair that can do both. The facial rooms and the wax rooms would have to have, the setup for exactly that. So and then, of course, the bathrooms there. What I think the floor plan doesn't have is the doors, but generally speaking, that's not a big issue where the doors are. What is the classroom has to be completely enclosed, and it looks like it is. So it's my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that you're going to be using the classroom different days or different hours for the aesthetics versus the eyelash. Is that correct? Ms. Hardiman?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it's really only one classroom that she has. What, do we want her to submit the floor plan with added stations drawn as opposed to the words?
Yes, with the stations, like how many stations per room, you know, her tables, all the things that are in all of the other applications that are submitted. And then also, the instructors program is gonna be going on as well, right? Did you say that you would have the instructors program as well?
Yes, well, I'm wanting to offer that. I'm probably gonna wait until I get my aesthetic and eyelash specialist up and going before I add that.
Okay. But yep, just.
And that would be
fleshing it
just
out
a
little-
classroom.
Yeah.
So the instructors don't have any
Yeah.
equipment, they just have a
Yeah, just a
classroom.
classroom spacing, but would it be in one classroom and 3 programs? Just making sure that the students, the hours are clearly, you know, clearly explained to the students before enrolling in the program.
Yes,
I don't know
okay.
if I overlooked that or not, like the days, we typically require the days to be presented. Hour 156, okay.
Sorry, I had said that they are there on page 156.
Okay.
Ms. Russell, I have a question. Are they required to offer a break room area for the students?
That is a great question.
And if so, that is not noted in the floor plan.
So they are required to give breaks during the day, but nothing is specific as to the break room. Generally, I would say 95 or 100% of our schools show where the break room is. So I don't know if she's planning on using the reception desk area to break out somewhere there. But in the updated floor plan, I think that's a great point to have her point out where exactly the students will be taking their breaks.
As well as laundry services.
Actually, I do have a break room area. I can update the floor plan and have all of that included.
I mean, I just from experience of inspecting a lot of schools in the last couple of years, the map is not always what you walk into. So anything that you can provide to the inspector, and then if we can approve with contingency on the inspector approving the floor plan as well, would we all be okay with that? I mean, I've walked into schools with a very, very detailed floor plan, and it may or may not exist that way in the past. So things change, but having someone there in person makes a really big difference, as Becky said. So with that, can I make a motion that we approve this application with the contingency that the field inspector check out and approve the floor plan?
I'll second. And I have one more question. Is this a specialty school or full program?
This is a specialty school.
Specialty school, okay.
Well, meaning it's only offering aesthetics and eyelash.
Right, but will they do, I'm sorry, is it a apprenticeship school? So will they go out? I think I'm overlooking something. Will they go out for apprenticeship at the 50% mark?
I didn't see that.
That is not the way that this was.
No, ma'am, it's
presented.
not an apprenticeship school. They will complete all the hours at the
Okay.
building.
Okay.
Thank you. So I do believe, I've got written that the updated floor plan needs to come to me first, because that's what the field inspector will take. So as long as the floor plan has more detail, shows where the stations are and within each room, whether there's a bed or a station, that way the field inspector will have something better to go with. And yes, we would not be approving it until they pass the inspection.
So the motion that we have is to approve pending a updated floor plan and of course with the inspection, passing the inspection with the inspector. So, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Congratulations, and you can work with Roxana on your floor plan.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you. Members, the next item is, starts on your page 172. This is Center Stage Beauty Academy. It is a change in location. Ms. Amber Blair is on the call with us. The school is located in Alcoa. You have the application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan, which were all received timely. Ms. Russell, I'll turn it over to you. Can you hear me, Ms. Blair?
I can.
Thank you.
Ms. Blair, tell us a bit about your school.
Hi, good morning. Yes, so we actually started operating in June of 2021. So we are about to hit our 4-year mark. This is our third change in location. We are the only specialty aesthetic school in our town. So we have been very blessed to grow and become well known for our aesthetics in this area. So we are really excited. We have found a great location. We outgrew our last location, so this is just going to be so much better for the students. So we're all just really excited.
We're happy to hear that you're growing. Can you tell us how far it is to your new school, and is it going to be a hardship for your students?
It is actually 3 minutes down the road. So no, this is not going to be a hardship to our current students.
All right. I looked over your paperwork. There were just a couple of things. One of them is student signature before payment. So where your student signs and the school representative signs, it needs to state that it is prior to any payment that is made.
Correct.
The
That
other
is oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I think it's on page 10 of the enrollment app, if that's what you were looking for.
That's our 185, but I don't know if it's.
Perfect. So that one is taken care of. The other one is the instructor course. You do offer that, yes?
Yes, we do.
I did not find a note about the instructor must be licensed for 3 years prior to testing. Can you direct me to where that is?
I sure can. Give me 1 second.
All right, Ms. Tanksley found it for you.
Oh,
It's
okay.
on our page
I was going to
181.
say it's on page 6. Sorry, it's on my page 6, but yes, it is there.
All right, those were the questions that I have. Board members, do you have questions?
This school's in good standing?
Yes, ma'am.
Then I'd like to make a motion to approve the change in location.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the change in location. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations and keep growing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Members, our next item starts on page 213. This is the Beauty Vault Institute of Cosmetology. This also is a change in location. Ms. Tanisha Rucker is participating on the call. This school's located in Memphis. You have the application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan, and they were all received timely. Ms. Rucker, can you hear me? Ms. Rucker? Is anyone participating for the Beauty Vault Institute of Cosmetology? Okay. Ms. Russell?
Miss Rucker is on the call, but she is not unmuted. I can't unmute her.
Okay. Ms. Rucker, Ms. Russell's going to take over and go through her items. If you can unmute yourself, then you'll be able to answer the questions. Otherwise, depending on what they are, we may need to postpone it to the August meeting, but we're going to try to proceed knowing that you're on the call. Thank you.
This is an apprentice-only school, is that correct?
I apologize. Let me get to the right page. I told you all, but I didn't move fast enough. I believe so.
I've
Yes.
looked over her paperwork. The only the only note that I had made was here again, I didn't see student signature prior to payment.
Hey, hear me? I'm so sorry. I could
That's
not
okay.
unmute myself. I'm over here sweating. I'm like, I could not unmute myself. I'm here. Up it.
Well, let's back up and let you tell us a bit about your school.
Okay, yes, ma'am. We were established in 2023, so we're fairly new. We are a full cosmetology apprenticeship program. We do offer hands-on for students in theory and in practice. So our classes are very hands-on. Here in Memphis, I hear a lot of horror stories about students not being able to get the full education and hands-on experience as if they're not learning. So we did establish the Beauty Vault Institute of Cosmetology to help students obtain that education and knowledge and skills so that they can go into the workforce and it be gainful. So that's exactly what we are, a full cosmetology apprenticeship program.
Ms. Rucker, that brings more questions, I think. So the
Okay.
way that an apprenticeship program works is that they are getting their theory education only inside of the school, and then they go on to an apprenticeship at a salon, spa, whatever, to continue their hours with a licensed individual. So there is no hands-on in an apprenticeship.
Okay. So let me bring some enlightenment to you. So what we do, we have a salon and a school. When we were approved in 23, we did have questions and there were contingencies about the school being in the same facility as the salon, being that we had to have separate entrances because it is separated. So we are the Beauty Vault Institute, but we are powered by the Pink Salon. We are a licensed salon here in Memphis. So we do place the students ourselves. And that was one of the questions that Miss Roxana asked me. Were we going to place the students with licensed professionals, or did they have to seek that placement on their own? So we did put that in there as well, that we will assign them licensed professionals. We will have small classroom sizes. Normally we take 1 to 5 students. We haven't had that many students actually, but we will only do a maximum of 5 students in the salon. We have about six or seven spaces for professional stylists, so we can place them with those licensed professionals such as myself. And we do have an instructor that actually teaches the theory at the school. So once they're done, we place them with one of the licensed supervised professionals at the Pink Salon, and we get them the rest of the practical hours.
That makes a little more sense to me. I just wanted to be very clear that those students get
Yes.
only their theory hours. They test and pass that theory test before being placed in that salon. I think
Yes.
that the model sounds great. It would just worried me with you saying it's hands-on. You just mean in the same location, but not at the same time.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Exactly.
So does this mean that your salon is moving locations as well?
Yes, I've completed the paperwork for all of that. We moved the entire location. We actually downsized a little. We had like 2,600 square feet at the other location, but we have 2,000. But it's still really spacious. The classroom is in the back of the facility with a separate entrance that the students enter from. Um, the office is in the back as well with the school, the classroom per se.
Okay, thank you.
So with it being inside of a salon, I do want to request that the floor plan is, as the previous school, just in more, gives us more detail on how the setup is.
Well,
because
this is just a classroom because it's just an apprentice only.
Right, but you
Right.
still have, so it's still inside of a salon? I mean, I get what you're saying.
It isn't inside it. It has a separate entrance.
Yes, it
So
has
it
a
is
separate
separated
entrance.
from the salon.
Okay, okay.
It is.
Oh, so just classroom space, no salon area, just 100% theory in this,
Yes,
in this block?
100%. Yes, ma'am.
Roxana, this school is in good standing?
Thank you. Yes, yes, the school has been in transition to move for a minute, so they haven't had students in a while, but yes.
I had a quick question. So will you be the licensed supervisor professional for every student that comes through your program, or do you have other professionals in mind to be able to send your students to?
Yes, we have other professionals that are at the salon that are in place that are full aware of the program and have agreed to be a part of that apprenticeship practical portion. Yes.
And do all these professionals have 10 years of experience?
Yes, we have about four that have over 10 years of experience. And then I'm also in connect with other stylists at other salons as well that I could place them with immediately.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the change of location.
Second.
Sorry. We have a motion and a second to approve the change of location. All in favor? Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor. You all have an amazing day.
Thank you. Thank you, members. The next on your iPads starts on page 246. This is Master Nail Academy. It is a new specialty manicure school. Ms. Wizeret Sinchai or Ms. Lynn Dam are on the call participating on behalf of the school. This school is located in Cookville. The application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan were received timely. Ms. Lynn Dam, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, thank you. Ms. Russell, I'll turn it over to you.
Welcome. And would you like to tell us a bit about your school?
Thank you. Good morning. First and foremost, I would like to give a special thank you to Miss Roxana. She was patient and kind. And being a new school, paperwork and application can be overwhelming. But because of her guidance, I had a great experience with this whole process. So thank you for that, Miss Roxana. Secondly, we are just thrilled to ready to pass on our knowledge and guide our future students with my 20 plus years in the beauty and nail care industry. Thank you.
Is it correct that you will be offering manicuring the full program in-house as well as apprenticeship?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see, on our page 250, that's your very first page. You have the hours of operation from 8 to 6 and 8 to 7 on the various days. However, you have not described which full and part-time hours. So if a student is going for apprenticeship, what are those hours? If they're going for full-time manicuring, what hours would they have? This is important for us to know what to expect. If an inspector walks in, then what are they walking into? So would they be seeing an apprenticeship program going on? Would it be your part-time manicuring students? So if you will just note on that page, full-time manicuring students will attend from this time to this time. That helps us to understand how many hours the students are going to school, and also for the students who are signing up for your program to know when they're supposed to be there.
Yes, I will note it in there, full-time and part-time separately. And you said the apprenticeship manicure program.
So you could
that,
list them individually. Full-time manicuring students attend from this hour to this hour, Monday through Friday, or whatever the hours are. Just identify those hours that the students are expected to be in school.
Yes, ma'am.
on your student signature line, we do need to make a note that they are signing prior to payment of any money.
So I do have that signature payment saying that they do have to initial and, their signature before we take the payment.
Okay. Can you point that out for me, please?
It would be on my enrollment agreement, on my page that I printed out is, 5 of 7 under the payment plans.
Perfect, thank you.
If not, it's our 256 as well. Thank you.
All right, that is all of the notes that I had made. Members, do you have questions?
Question, what I've noticed in some of the agreements, and then it's not consistent across. Are we requiring the signature on each page? Like some contracts have it on each page, but then some don't. Is that?
So
a
the
necessary
requirement is to
requirement?
have the pages must be numbered and must be initialed.
Okay. They must be initialed as well?
On the enrollment agreement, not their
Okay.
catalog.
Okay, thank
Yes.
you. Okay, thank you.
Have you established relationships to place your apprenticeship students with a licensed professional?
Yes, ma'am. And I do have the, license number of those, nail techs that are, have their license of 10 years or more. It is also listed on my, enrollment agreement on 3 of 7. Their license and their name are on there.
Perfect, thank you.
I can appreciate that too. I like the way she had that mapped out with license numbers and everything. That's nice.
I had not written that down on my paper, and then I realized just now that didn't write it down to ask, but that is why I did not write it down to ask, because I appreciated that as well. As soon as you said it, I remembered
Thank you so
reading that.
much.
I just have a question. If you're offering the apprentice program and the full program, those students cannot be in the same classroom at the same time, or can they?
I can try to answer that. The traditional students will be doing practical time each day as well as theory, whereas your apprenticeship students are 100% theory. So unless the school is very creative on what that looks like, maybe in the beginning, it could work, but then as the theory hours move on, it couldn't, because your apprenticeship students then would be there forever, right? Because once practical hours kick in,
Yep.
they would have nobody. So in reality, it's two separate groups because of the speed and what they're doing. Does
Gotcha.
that help?
Those two courses are at very different paces.
Paces, yes, ma'am.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve this new school.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the school. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Dam, if you'll send me the revision, I believe the only thing was the separation between your apprenticeship and traditional students, days and times of, that they'll be going, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, members. The next item starts on page 271 on your iPads. This is All Aspects Barber Styling and Beyond. It is a change of location. Ms. Sharon Wilson is on the call with us today. She presented this at the prior meeting and had several updates to make, so the members wanted to see the application revised. You have before you, the school is in Memphis, and it has provided the school application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and the contingency plan. Ms. Russell, I will turn it over to you. Ms. Wilson, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Wilson, would you like to tell us a bit about your school?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. My school has been I've been in business, my school since June 9th of 2023. So I'm coming up on my 3rd year anniversary. Everything thus far has been going well. I've had students more than, one. I'm a small school, but I would say 2/3 of my students have passed their theory tests and have I have those who have actually already become master barbers, so I'm excited about that. The big reason for me wanting to relocate is simply for a nicer space.
Can you tell me, with your relocation, is this going to be a hardship for your students and how far it is?
No, no, ma'am, it won't be a hardship at all. It's actually 2 miles away from the previous location, as well as my school is virtual, so we will be logging in on Teams and meeting in a virtual classroom setting.
I read over your paperwork, and I've already read that this is a synchronous virtual option. Normally, I would have asked those questions, but I read your policies, and it appears that it is a synchronous class.
Yes, ma'am.
Something that we typically don't really dive into on the board because it is a business decision. You have a refund policy that states that if your school closes, there's a refund policy, but it doesn't really state what would happen if a student drops out. That refund policy can be anything that you want the policy to be, because we don't go into that, but they do need to know if they were to drop out of school, what the policy is, if that's no refunds, if it is a percentage of the refunds, whatever that might be.
Yes, ma'am, I will update that. I'll take a look at that and make sure that it protects me at all costs.
Um, I I had marked graduation requirements. I may have looked over them, but can you show me where, or tell me where that is?
That's at the beginning of the application on page 1, at the very top.
Oh,
Graduation
perfect.
requirements to complete the 1500. See it.
And then on the signature page, I didn't read a statement that says that the student will receive a copy.
Um, see. In this agreement, the party shall refer to this. Okay. I thought I put that in there, but I'll make sure I add that as well. But I always give a student, that's when I have a printer, so when they come and we go over the contract, I always provide a copy at that moment where I can, once they sign, I make them a copy. As well as I scan it to them, so they'll always have it in their emails as well.
That's a great practice.
Okay, I'm slow. I'm sorry. This is apprenticeship only.
It is.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm just making sure I missed something. Thank you.
Members will give you a minute to ask any questions that you have. Those were all of the notes that I had.
Do you have a list of licensed supervising professionals who will be taking your students after they complete the first portion of the?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's on page 4 of my documentation.
Gotcha.
I have them listed and their email addresses.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this change in location.
We have a motion and a second to approve the change of location. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Um, Members, we are now on to page 304. This is Journey Academy of Cosmetology. This is a new branch school. Ms. Tamitha Bird is participating virtually with us. The school is in Jackson. Their original school was licensed in December of 2023, and it is in Adamsville. The application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan were received timely. Ms. Bird, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Russell, I'll turn it over
Yes.
to you.
Ms. Bird, would you like to tell us a bit about your school?
I love the school. We are growing, and this is our second location, and we're very student oriented. We focus on their education and more than just passing the test, but learning to do the job once they've graduated.
Your paperwork looks awesome. I was able to find everything really easily. The only question that I had or statement that I have is on your page 17. This is our 325. You have two different types of records, some that you're keeping for 6 years and some for 7. Can we keep all records for 7 years, please?
That's apparently a typo.
And this is not an apprentice school, right? This is all in your facility?
All in the facility.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure that you heard, but our board members mentioned that your paperwork was pretty.
Well, thank you. It's a pretty business.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve this school. All in favor? I'm sorry, we also have a second. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, we are on to page 340. This is Sheba Training Center. This is a new cosmetology school. Ms. April Harding is participating on the call. The school's located in Knoxville. You have before you an application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and a contingency plan. They were all received timely. Can you hear me, Ms. Harding?
Yes, Ms. Roxana, can you hear me as well?
Yes, perfectly. I'll turn it over to Ms. Russell. Thank you.
Ms. Harden, would you like to tell us a bit about your school?
Yes, ma'am. I just want to start again I want to thank Ms. Roxana for her patience in dealing with me. This is not the first time that I've been before the board. I actually used to be a beauty school, Dream Beauty Academy here in Knoxville back in 2021. And I have been through a lot of different challenges and things that have prevented me from actually moving forward with my goal and dream. And I just wanted to just say thank you again, Roxana, for being patient and helping me through this process. But we have always been a school where I have been more focused on quality and not quantity. So my whole goal has been to kind of be a mentor plus a support system for young professionals to become licensed in this industry. So knowing that I have to be able to give hours, I have to go by the regulations set by the board. So that's why I actually in turn started the whole beauty school journey. I am right now focusing on using my salon space along with the school space to do this. So we do have a shared space. So the beauty school is a part-time programs, and the programs that we are offering are going to be natural hair care, aesthetics, manicuring, and the instructor training. So I didn't have to actually apply for individual specialty schools. I did this as a full cosmetology school, but we're not offering cosmetology at this time. So it is just specialty schools combined to make a full cosmetology, if that is understand. Can you understand that?
Yes, we understand.
Okay. So that's what Shiva Training Center is a combined salon and cosmetology. Well, I'm sorry, not cosmetology, combined programs for those programs that we're offering only.
I'd like to talk about your virtual options, your hybrid option. Can you tell me about that virtual training?
Yes, ma'am. If any of our students, when they enroll and they can't get physically to the location to attend in person during when we're having our practical, our theory sessions, they can connect with us either on our Microsoft, like on Zoom or the Microsoft Teams during the classroom time that we have for theory. But they do have to be during the same time, so that is running in concurrent with our classroom hours.
I have noted that I did not see a place where you state that your full-time and part-time hours will be kept separately.
We won't have a full time. So if you know their hour are Monday through Wednesday, 9 to 5, and every
Perfect.
other Saturday. Yes, ma'am.
And this is in person, I mean, not in person, it's virtual as well, but this is not an apprentice program.
They do have paperwork stating that they are also
So
offering.
we will have apprenticeship. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
But
So basically, you said this is not a specialty school. This is a full cosmetology school, but students will be taking the courses, the individual specialty courses, right? So would these students understand that they've attended cosmetology school, and so they're going to hold a cosmetology license and not a specialty license?
No.
no, they won't.
Right, I'm sorry. On our page 345 are her options of what she's planning to offer. So the school has to be a minimum of 2,200 square feet to meet the statute, because it is going to be licensed as a cosmetology school. But she's chosen not to offer the coursework in cosmetology. The only coursework she's going to offer is aesthetics, the manicuring, the natural hairstyling, the eyelash specialist, and the instructor. So no one will obtain a cosmetology license. They'll obtain the separate smaller courses, but the school is a licensed cosmetology school, just not offering cosmetology.
And the school is actually a salon.
There has to be a separation. So the school itself and the shop have to be separate. I believe what she's explained, and you can please correct me and jump in, Ms. Harden, is that the school is operating only part-time, opposite hours.
Of when the
possibly
salon
from the
is.
salon.
So the school is open some days, the
Correct.
salon is open the other days. Okay.
I believe we've had that one time before. It's been a while. And as long as obviously there would be a violation if it's open at the same time.
I think I inspected that school in Clarksville, which is why we were trying to figure out where it was going to be posted and how the signage was going to work,
Exactly.
all of those things. So
You're
this is
thinking of the same
similar
school.
to that. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Mr. Martin, did I answer your question, sort of?
Yes,
Okay.
I was confused. That was the first time I had heard that one. I was thinking they were going to have a cosmetology license at the end.
The school will, so the school, but not the individuals. They'll
Gotcha.
pick the smaller disciplines. Her only other option would have been to have, I guess, 4 different licenses, and then they really can't commingle all. So we've done this with aesthetics, where a school only wanted to teach eyelash specially and not the full aesthetics. So they got an aesthetic school license and just taught the eyelash specialty.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
I stepped out for a second. Did she say that there was a separate entrance for the school and the salon?
It's the same space, they're just using it on alternate days.
Okay, and is that the clock hours? That's what I was looking for the days that they're open.
It's Monday through Wednesday, 9 to 5, is that correct? And then alternating Saturdays for all the
Yes, ma'am.
programs?
Yes.
Board members, on our 356, and this is your page 12. You are talking about, let's see, being assigned to a supervised licensed professional by the school. And then later, you state, upon leaving or changing your assigned location with your supervised professional, it goes on to say that if you can't be placed with another supervising professional, that you can return to the school to complete your practical hours, and that is not allowed. So when you are an apprenticeship student, they have to complete their hours under a licensed professional. They would not be allowed to return to the school.
Oh, okay, I understand. I can change that.
They can change licensed professionals, but they cannot go back and forth between the two.
And that's probably what I was actually meaning, because I know if say for instance, if a student is not meshing well with the person that they are selected to work with and they needed to change, I do have other licensed professionals that are qualified and meet the requirements to actually take on an apprentice. So they can be changed, but I want to clarify that we are the ones that actually assign the person that's going to be doing the apprenticeship. So the student themselves don't go and get to select who is going to train them in the apprenticeship program.
So
So that's what I mean when they have to return to the school.
The portion that you will need to remove states none is available at that time. You will have to return to the school to resume your practical clinical hours.
Okay.
Because once you've designated yourself as an apprentice student, that sticks. You cannot cross back and forth between the two because of the cadence, because of the way that those programs are structured, entirely different with the hours. This is all making sense to me now. Oof.
Can you tell me, do you have a place where you've noted that an apprenticeship student is only allowed 150% of the time to finish as compared to a traditional student?
And what page are you on?
I'm asking you, I did not find it.
I'm
so
sorry.
I'm asking you, do you have that statement?
Yes, it is in here. Yes, ma'am. I don't have the actual page number, but I do know it's in here.
Okay. Now, on the floor plan, I see that there's only one classroom. Am I saying that correctly? On the first?
I actually have two, because if you notice I have two different floor plans that are submitted. I have an event space or a center that is actually 2 doors down from where our salon is located. So if we have to, in the event that we need any additional floor space for theory, I do have another annex space that we could use for theory and for classroom.
Okay, but are all 3 programs running at the same time? I see that that's Monday through Wednesday, 9 to 5, with all 3 programs.
They possibly could be, but again, we're not expected to have over 5 students. My goal is 3 to 5 students. I will not have over 5 students at a time and that's in all programs combined.
And you do understand that they can't, that the theory has to be separate for all 3 of the programs?
So that
Can't be
we
in a
will have the
classroom
space
at
for,
the same time? In one classroom
yes,
at the
ma'am.
same time? Okay.
We will have space for that.
And Ms. Russell, do we require them to make it clear to the students what time theory is before they enroll? Like, not theory, but, their class time.
Their class time should be listed for the student prior to enrollment, yes.
Okay. And so can we note that as a requirement before? Just so
that's
that they
what you'd
can
like.
understand, because there's so many moving parts, because it's the three programs in the salon, on their off days, every other Saturday rotating. annex space down the, 2 doors down? Like, can we just make it more clear to the student? Because again, students are excited when they're enrolling in school and they really sign anything you put in front of their face. But just wanted to make sure that, because although the spacing is great, just making sure that the classes are not commingling.
So Ms. Turner is requesting that you clean up your hours a bit to state if you're enrolled in this certain program, these are your hours that you're expected to be in class, and make that very clear in each one of the, if they're taking natural hair or if they're taking manicuring, those timeframes and where they would, and what location they would be taught. So if you're using the annex, then knowing that those students would be there.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
I'd like to talk a little bit about your contingency plan. You've got one in there, but in the case that your school completely closed, have you established a relationship with other schools in the area that might take these students?
Yes, ma'am. I've spoken with one school here in Knoxville and another. They don't offer the nail program, so I have another school that will actually would take on the nail portion of students in the event that I closed.
So you will need to list that for your students in the event that that happens. Then they have some information.
It should be listed. It should be listed in there. Hold on one second. Both schools are listed under that.
I believe 398 at the end of her catalog. Sweetwater School is listed.
Okay.
Yeah, Sweetwater School and Legends. They're listed.
Are there any other questions, members?
On her page 12, our page 356, under hybrid learning structure, it says, because this is apprenticeship schools, right? It says the apprenticeship will be conducted on campus. Did we clear that up already? It says practical training conducted on campus or apprenticeship where students perform hands-on services under supervision to develop technical skills.
So your hybrid program, if I'm not mistaken, you stated that that would only be for the theory portions, and they would log on and be able to see your live theory lesson. Is that correct?
So as it reads, what she's saying is that all hybrid courses are in conjunction with another form of study. So that means that you can't do just a online or separate by itself. So if you are in the hybrid program, it has to be in conjunction with like an apprenticeship, or you're going to be on campus learning. So if you are doing the online learning as a hybrid, that's taking your theory online, you have to do your practical in the classroom, or you have to be assigned with an apprenticeship program, signed up into an apprenticeship program.
I don't.
So the hybrid is only for theory online
Right.
during the time that the classrooms are operating and they're in
You can
class.
ask her a follow-up question.
Okay, and so, but I was asking, is this apprenticeship? I know you said it's the hybrid, but like,
What is different, hybrid isn't the
okay, this is not
apprenticeship.
your apprenticeship program. You're just saying you're offering
No.
hybrid. Okay, that's
Yes,
what I was gonna, okay.
So I think, I don't want to speak for everyone. I think it would be helpful to me because you're doing a lot of things. Because we have 5 programs: aesthetics, nails, natural hair instructor, and eyelash specialist. Plus, you can choose within any of those programs whether you want to be on campus or apprentice. So that is essentially 10 options, which is cool. It can be very personalized. I think what we're struggling with is those are 10 different programs, and that is not very clear in any of your paperwork how you're going to manage 10 different programs in that space on those days the school will be open. And so I think that's what we're asking for more what I would be asking for more clarification.
Okay. What would you like to see me do or see me to present for that?
I think I would like a very clear schedule within your paperwork that says by each discipline, if someone is on campus, what that schedule looks like. And if they've chosen the apprenticeship option, what their schedule on campus looks like, because they will need to be there for theory. And have that very much broken down by both the program that they're choosing and then the method that they're choosing. And then within, I guess, their schedule, it would be whether or not they're in person or virtual. Those are just a lot of moving pieces, and unfortunately, none of them really overlap for much of it.
Becky, I'd make a
Yes,
motion
ma'am.
that this be chaired until it's cleaned up and brought back.
And I'll second.
I'm sorry, we couldn't hear the motion on the record, so I'll make sure somebody.
I make a motion that this proposal be tabled until it's cleaned up and brought back.
And I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to deny this at the time being until further cleanup and clarification is made to be presented at the next meeting. Is that correct? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, members. Next, we are on page 400. We've got someone on Teams that, if you could mute yourself, please. Thank you. This is Crown Cuts Academy. This is a new Barber branch school. Mr. Craig Charles is the owner, participating virtually with us. The school is located in Johnson City. Mr. Charles owns a barber school in Johnson City that's been licensed since 2017. The application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan are before you. Mr. Charles, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I will mute myself. Ms. Russell, it's all yours.
Mr. Charles, would you like to tell us a bit about your school?
Yes, my name is Craig Charles, and previously we opened our location in 2017. We grew a little bit, so we opened another location in 2023, and currently in the location. So we left our previous location to move into our new location. So now we're going to open up our previous location again to have barbering, full blast barbering. So that's where we stand right now. So it's a previous school that has been open under my name and under Crown Cuts. When we moved, we just kind of kept it dormant, and we opening it back again.
It's always nice to hear when schools grow.
Thank you.
I've looked over your paperwork and have just a couple of questions. First, you have a Cos to Barber crossover path, which is excellent. I'm glad that you have that. However, the crossover that happens needs to be in razoring and barbering techniques. Specifically, we need to make sure that these licensed professionals are learning things that they did not learn while they were in school. You have some of the things that are listed there that they would have learned in depth as a cosmetologist. So we want to make sure that they're focusing all of that time in learning the techniques, such as razoring and barbering techniques. So things like relaxing and permanent waving, I'm certain that they could do that without any further instruction. So if you could just make sure that that's focused more in the barbering techniques.
Yes, ma'am. We just add that because I know some students at times they want to get a refresher course in that. So, but we do focus on the razoring and barbering techniques.
On your page 31, our 441, you have a record retention of 3 years. And since their records are good for 7, let's change that to 7 years.
Yes, ma'am. I am on it right now. I'm putting a note on that page. Change to 7 years. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I wrote it down.
And lastly, on your signature page, I didn't see that they are signing prior to making payment.
Yes, ma'am. We did change that. We will change that.
Those are all of the notes that I have. Board members, do you have questions?
Under admissions, it said that the applicant can be at least 16 years of age and have a high school diploma or a GED. And it does state about the homeschool as well, but it doesn't have like a transcript or 10th grade. They having to have completed 10th grade.
That's no longer in the law.
Oh, okay.
There's no high school requirement as of last year.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that the schools, so most schools still include it. When I communicate with them, I let them know that they can accept someone without any high school. That requirement's completely gone away from the law. The rules will be cleaned up soon, so it doesn't, the laws trump it, but it takes us a minute to get the rules through. So many schools still keep it on there, and they have every right to have it on, but I do explain that that requirement went away.
Okay, so it's a minimum of just 16 years.
That's
old.
it.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. We
I
had a
think-
lady exactly at the church yesterday asked me about that. She was in her 50s, and I told her you don't need a high school diploma to come to school, and she's coming next week to sign up application. So
I think a lot of times when we see this in paperwork, those schools are aiming for being accredited. And so they can choose to make any stipulations they want to. It's just not something that we ever see.
You are not offering the apprentice program.
we're thinking about that. That's why we opened the other school, so we can keep students and monitor them. We'll be sending our senior students to the other school, so be finishing their 1,500 hours, and we'll see how that goes. And maybe in August, we might apply for the apprenticeship program and put that on the docket.
Okay, but right now, this is
we're
an in-person, all 1,500 hours on your campus.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Let me ask you a question. If we put that in our catalog and send it to you right now, could that be accepted or would have to wait?
So apprenticeship is, the law says a school may offer it, so it would be at your discretion if you're offering it later. You wouldn't have to come before the board. You're always welcome to come before the board, but you wouldn't have to. You would just, when you renew or at any point, you're welcome to send me an updated catalog. As long as you know how to carry out apprenticeship, then you could add it when you're ready.
Okay, well, we will add it to the catalog and we'll send you an updated one today,
Okay.
just in case. Thank you.
So I'm going to make a motion to approve this new school with the materials that have been presented.
We have a motion and a second to approve the school. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, Mr. Craig. I'm sorry, Mr. Charles.
Thank you. I get it all the time. It's 2 first names. Thank you.
Could I ask a quick question? I'm sorry, Mr. Charles, don't leave us just yet. Thank goodness for Joe. So, on our page, your page 19, our page 429, There is a statement on the page that would imply that apprenticeship is being carried out, and it says no students will be allowed longer than 1.5 times the scheduled program length to complete the program. That really does, just only applies to apprenticeship, of course. I just wanted to make sure that that was noted.
Okay.
And that's the maximum that they can be allowed to finish, but it's apprenticeship, not your traditional students.
Okay, so it is in there. I'm sorry, I didn't. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Charles?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Hi, my name is Joe Wharton. I'm the attorney for the Barber Cosmo Board. Essentially, I just want to clarify this real quick. So on your page 19, the issue is you're stating to students that would currently be enrolling in the full-time non-apprenticeship program that they have 1.5 times to complete that regular program because the apprenticeship program isn't outlined in your current documents. So essentially what we're saying is if you're going to hold off on your apprenticeship program, which we would ideally have more information on the apprenticeship program at this time, if you wanted to move forward with that, if you're not moving forward with apprenticeship right now, you need to remove that sentence because a normal student not in apprenticeship doesn't get 1.5 times to complete the program.
I want to,
Well,
Joe,
Go
if
ahead.
you'll look at the top of the sheet, it's extra instructional charges. So I think that the student doesn't incur extra charges until 1.5%.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it's up to you all. I just figured I'd raise
Okay.
the point. You all are the
So
administrators.
is that what that was intended for?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so no additional charges unless they exceed the 150%.
Yes.
So he's saying yes, that if a student is required, they're required to complete 1,500 hours, correct? So if they go over the projected graduation date and they have to do 1,520 hours, are we saying that they won't be charged for those 20 hours that they went over until it goes?
The way that this
Correct.
reads to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, if a student completes within 1.5 times, so if I had bad attendance, I do not incur any additional charges until 1.5 times the traditional length.
Right.
After that, then I would be charged additional time.
Okay, and that's
Is-
what yeah.
Is that what I'm reading?
Yes, ma'am.
You got something up above that that talks about the scheduled programs hours. Sorry. You have something above that that says, that talks about, if the student has not completed the requirements for graduation by the number of scheduled program hours listed below, he or she will be charged $12 an hour for every additional hour needed to complete the course. So that would be the late fee, right? Right? And so
Yes.
they would be incurring that late fee up to 1.5 times the scheduled time that they have to complete the course. They will be incurring that $12 charge. Is that what
It
we're
will
talking
be
about?
after. Yes.
And so that's where the 1.5 time comes in. That's what they're being charged, $12 an hour for 1.5 times the length of the course. Now, after that would be something different. I'm assuming, or you would just terminate completely, or that's what I'm reading.
No. No, we work with students. We give them, like you said, 1.5 times. After 1.5 time, that's when the charges occurs.
I guess just looking at it, so where's the $12 of extra instructional charges? Where's the $12 an hour? Where does that come in to play? So it
So if you
says,
go 15, after 1,500 hours, we give them so many amount of time. The half time, so if you go 2,000 hours past whatever the half time is, that's when we start giving that charge.
okay. I mean, but just by reading that, if the student has not completed the requirements for graduation by the number of scheduled training program hours listed below, that will be charged $1,200. So that's telling me as a student that after 1,500 hours, if I haven't completed it, I'm going to be charged $12 an hour. But then the statement kind of contradicts it because that says after 1.5 times, then I'm going to get charged. So I guess it just needs to be clear. Am I getting charged
Yes,
after
I see,
1,500 or after 1.5
I
times?
see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. We'll tighten that up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. And hey, thank you for that. It's a great point. I see how that could be misconstrued.
What we think, guys? How we feeling about that?
Did that clarify?
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to bring it up because we were talking about the 1.5 times in multiple programs, and then he mentioned considering apprentice. But
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
it all ironed out. If he, cleans up that language, I think would be no issue at all.
I'm just curious, I mean, I know as a board, we can't make, if a school is going to offer both an apprentice program and the traditional in-person program, or I don't know what you want to refer that to, the traditional program. There are so many differences between these programs with the length of time, and can we ask that they have different paperwork or separate those paperwork or the enrollment agreements? It feels like the ones where we're really getting stuck on have all this kind of information garbled together and it's hard to sort through. Is that something we can ask schools who are planning to offer both?
I think you make a great point. I think we're always better off asking it up front for them to do it and follow that. But I would bring up before you if it doesn't get clean enough and we still want to ask for more when we have the meeting. Similar to the last request, which is if you're offering apprenticeship, we need at least one name and one license number showing that you have that tenured professional, and they're doing that. It's not clear in our rule or statute, but I haven't had any pushback. I've said the board members, you're welcome to watch the meeting, really felt that this was needed in order to know that you've got someone in the pipeline to put your students to, and they're not going to be at a disadvantage. And they've done great with that. So I think similar to this, I can definitely ask for that the enrollment agreement, if they're offering apprenticeship, be its own document. That may add 5 or 10 pages to the presentation, but then it'd be clearer. We can't dictate how their documents look, but I think it's a great point because that would expedite everything that they, that goes before you and that they have to answer that day.
Well, we do this a lot as board members, and we've seen a lot of this, and it's still confusing to me. I can't imagine how confusing this is to everyone else, that there are some real detailed nuances between these two programs. And to bring up the previous application, that you cannot flip-flop back and forth between these two programs once you pick one. And also with just some other real details, time to finish, et cetera. I think that would very much help these applications. Clearly, this application does not even include an apprenticeship program at this time, to your point, and there's still some language that is fuzzy or applicable depending on what you're offering.
And I think some of that is because of the other campus that Mr. Charles has, where they probably do still offer apprenticeship. And so that's probably some of the confusion, right, as he's adding the second campus. He wasn't thinking maybe of offering it right now here, and we'll evaluate it. But I love your suggestion. I don't know that we need an official motion, but for the next meeting, that's what I'll be asking. When I see the language, the floor plan, that it's apprenticeship and traditional, that they separate those agreements.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I definitely agree if it's some type of standard, because some schools have it and some don't, and it does make it, kind of complicated, and it takes more time to try to fish through to see what program's operating at what time, if it's one classroom and it's 5, so I definitely agree.
Members of the board, my advice would be we obviously encourage every applicant to provide as much information as possible so that you have as much information to approve or deny them. I would caution you to say we can ask for this information, but as far as a straight denial, like let's say if you guys review an application hypothetically, and it's murky to us based off of full-time program, apprentice program, on how that's going to work. there is no specific rule that says those have to be articulated in detail separately at this time. So I would say as far as a straight denial in the future based on such a ground, we would consider, hey, come back, revise this, and then we'll reassess next time as opposed to a straight denial because we don't have a rule or statute that explicitly states those have to be spelled out in extreme detail.
Of course.
And I think that's a part of the problem, that we don't have it spelled out in terms of apprenticeship. I think that's just where all the confusion, I think the schools don't necessarily know which way to go. You know, there isn't a straight line for apprenticeship with the schools, and I think that we just need more oversight, more rules in place to make sure that it is spelled out very clearly for us, so that way everyone knows how to proceed with apprenticeship, and that way we can have the best outcomes for apprenticeship students.
I do want to remind our members, our rules for apprenticeship are about 2 pages. So everything is in the rules. The law is very simple, probably for a good reason, but the rules cover everything. The rules actually say the school is responsible for all of the hours. That would mean you can't take a transfer student from California, not to pick on California, and start them in the middle of apprenticeship. They're starting at 0 all the way through. So the rules do give a lot. Now, the rules don't say a separate application is needed, but they actually spell out a lot for apprenticeship. So any school that's offering apprenticeship, I go back through the rules and suggest that they really go through them because there's a lot there. Just something to think about. If we work on rules here in the near future, what else maybe would we want to add to clarify it? I'm not sure.
I
So
got you.
It's worth looking at.
I'll review on my end just to make sure that I'm not missing anything, but it is, I mean, it's, the apprenticeship piece it's a tough piece. It is very tough, and I think it's just tough for schools to execute them. You know, and the students are usually the ones that get caught in the crossfire on this one, so I'm an advocate for the student.
Is there anything we need to do with crown cuts, or we moved forward from that?
We're good, we already passed him.
He was approved, so we can move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. The updates, if you'll send those to me, then we will be ready for an inspection.
Thank you guys, and hope you guys have a wonderful day coming from East Tennessee. Appreciate you guys. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Members, our last school starts on page 454. This is Empower Health Beauty Academy. It's a new cosmetology school. Miss Wanda Amos. Come on up, Miss Amos. This school is located in Antioch. You have before you an application, floor plan, enrollment agreement, catalog, and contingency plan. I will let the members take a look at the application. Thank you for being here.
Welcome, and please tell us about your school.
I am Wanda Amos, and I am opening my school. It's been a journey, but I'm grateful and thankful for Miss Roxana because I called and texted numerous of times, and I thank you so much for explaining everything and not getting frustrated or irritated with us. And Tamika, she is my instructor / consultant because I'm new to the business, so I want to make sure I know everything I need to know. We are opening a school in the Antioch area here in Middle Tennessee, and we're going to be offering nails, aesthetics, the instructor, and lashes.
I have reviewed your paperwork, and it looks excellent.
Thank you so much.
I do have a couple of things to go over. As with several others, I did not see that the student is signing prior to payment.
That is an error that we can fix. Okay. So that should be there. We can get that corrected.
And let's see.
Hi, my name is Julia. I'm also representing Empower. I know Miss Wanda.
No.
I'm sorry. Miss Julie, the owner that made the changes, this is Roxana, had asked to be here in person, so I'm okay with them doing the presentation. Otherwise, it's going to get kind of confusing. The members will ask different questions, so if you're okay, we've got the person that's representing the school here.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
You are offering the apprenticeship program, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Have relationships been established with some professionals for apprenticeship?
Absolutely. Sheer Perfection is one of them. And we have a few other ones that we haven't listed yet, but we plan to source out to others as well.
Sure. Okay, so this is both, you are offering an in-person option and an apprentice?
Yes, correct.
I gotta find a better word for in-person. What are we calling it? Traditional?
Traditional.
Traditional, thank you. Traditional plan and apprentice.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
May I ask y'all a question? In the interest of students that get caught in the apprenticeship pipeline, is it possible to front-load the curriculum and do all theory between our regular program and apprenticeship? Have the theory taking place and then just do all hands-on practical? So if we did have apprentices that were not able to be placed, they would be able to continue their education and not get stuck.
So in the board's rules, it's required in a traditional program to have 10% of theory hours every week that the students are going to school in the traditional, which would not allow you to front load all of your hours into theory.
Thank you.
And that is the law. Those are the rules. Thank you.
But an option for that is, and if, correct me if I'm wrong, if a student cannot find an apprenticeship partner, can't they then transfer over to a traditional through an amendment?
They cannot. So if they start as an apprentice, they finish that way, and cosmetology does not transfer into an apprenticeship or whatever field. So they do not commingle or go back and forth between the two.
Okay, so if they are, just for my understanding, if they start out as an apprenticeship student and then they can't find a partner, a 10-year licensed stylist, they can't then do an amendment to their contract to go back as a traditional student, but they have to start back over from zero?
They start over from zero. There is no option. However, that is one of the reasons that I ask, have those relationships been established? Because it is really important that we don't wait until halfway through and then say, well, I can't find someone to place you with. So I always ask the question, do you have somebody ready for these students?
Could I add a quick note to, and as the members will remember, we've got rules in the pipeline to possibly change from one-on-one with that supervising apprenticeship person to up to 3 with certain criteria. So back to Ms. Russell's point, that is something that schools that are offering it have to consider. That student has packed all the theory and now they have 0 hands-on. So if they were to move to a traditional school, they would have to go strictly on the floor for practical hours, and no school can do that because their traditional students that have paid good money and signed contracts are going 10% theory and practical, right? They're wanting to get those lessons learned. So it'd be a very hard transition, which is why it isn't written that way. Thank you.
And that's a good clarity, because I didn't realize if a apprenticeship student couldn't find a partner and they wanted to go back to traditional school, they would have to start the whole 1,500 hours from scratch. Woo, that's a heck of a hit. That's a heck of a hit. I didn't realize that, and that's not spelled out in the rule.
And what we've had, I think at the last meeting, we talked about it, if a school is closing that is apprenticeship only, and so far we've been very fortunate, these students in the pipeline can go to the supervising professional in the shop, but the school's still submitting the hours, right? You don't have someone with 10 or 12 years in the shop sending us hours. That just wouldn't work. And so we've lucked out to those schools, have stuck around until their apprentice students have finished. The other thing that has happened, because students will reach us when they can't find a professional, is obviously in the paperwork and in conversations that I have, it's who is responsible for this relationship, this connection. And so far, we haven't, at least that I'm aware of, had a student not be able to find a professional. It's delayed their time right? Or if the relationship, there's a problem and you can't go to that person for whatever reason, personality clash, they've moved, the shop relocated, then they're stuck. They're definitely going to incur that additional time, but so far they haven't had to start at zero. So we've got 72,000 licensees. So there's a good chance that someone out there would take them on, but it would definitely hinder their time to finish.
How would we go about, like, if a student was just kind of hanging out there, how would we verify that person is qualified to
You
do
mean-
that? If the school is no longer in the picture, how would we determine that? I'm with this guy.
Yeah.
This guy could be a cosmetologist working in a barber shop.
Once the school's out of the picture, we wouldn't be able to connect that because, again, it's the monthly hours that are required by the first of the month to the school. So
Right.
where would the professional do that? So far, I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but so far, we've been able to move that around to where the schools have either stuck around to finish it or they've understood that professional, that they need to help them find a professional that will take them.
So wouldn't that void the contract if the school went out and wasn't able to report their hours every month?
So based on the contingency plan, they would need another school that offers apprenticeship to take the student. So that's one reason the contingency plan is so important. The other piece, and we've had that just recently, as long as the school doesn't close doors completely, they can submit the hours, then they can stick around until their students in the pipeline finish their hours. They wouldn't take any new ones.
Right.
Well, and it's also because the school gets the tuition,
Yeah.
Right.
right? So if I'm an apprentice student, I'm paying you, the school owner, 100% of my tuition, and that continues to go to you however the payment plans are made, even though I'm no longer in your school, right? I'm in someone else's shop getting my hours there.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I mean, it's exciting to have more apprentice schools opening. We did not have that for a very long time. It is very exciting to have new schools that are opening, trying to offer both programs simultaneously. There's just a lot of nuances that I don't think are very well understood.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's time to revisit it. And I have asked, the questions about that before because a lot of people who are looking for financial gain, they are going to the apprenticeship schools because there are not a lot of requirements around it as far as, spacing and things like that, which I do understand the times that we're living in. But they are basically using that low entry, barrier to entry. They're using that as an excuse to, I didn't know. So I think that it is time for us to revisit that, to flush it out a bit more. Because we want the apprenticeship schools to be sustainable, years to come, just as the other disciplines. But I think that it is time that we, just flush it out a little bit more understanding for those that are coming into the industry. Yeah.
It's a roundabout way of answering your question.
Ms. Russell, I'll let you keep going through your items. Thank you.
I did not have any further questions. Board members, do you have further questions?
Rabbit hole.
No, it's literally.
It's actually three floors, but we're only using two. Yes.
So my question was the 2 floors. It said that there are 2 floors. Is it available, the handicap accessible?
Yes.
Okay. Because I couldn't tell where the floors were or how it was. Okay, I see stairs here. Okay. Thank you. I didn't know if it was,
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 spaces on the same floor if they were on different floors. Okay.
Bless you.
Okay, please don't throw anything at me. I'm on your page 5, our page 464. This goes to the transfer hours. So this goes to my question, Roxana, to you, that if you're offering an associate or apprentice program, there are no transfer hours.
They can transfer from other apprentice schools that carry out the rules and laws like we would in Tennessee. So if they've got an apprenticeship school that they went to in East Tennessee or West Tennessee or Middle, as long as that was an apprentice student and the school's carrying out the same way, it would be at that school's discretion to hopefully accept that student.
Okay, but you cannot transfer hours from another traditional program.
Correct.
Into an apprentice program.
Or from out of state. I mean, the apprenticeship is pretty straight in what it accepts.
Okay. Thank you.
So do we need a motion?
I have one more question. Still me getting my brain wrapped around Monday morning. Where in your paperwork does it say that they are associate or apprentice or traditional?
It's on our page 253 in the center of the sheet, traditional manicuring, apprenticeship manicuring.
253.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just randomly throwing numbers out.
What page? For what? $453? Am I making that up? No, that is not it because no.
Okay, I don't know where I'm.
We don't know what page it is. Is it page 25?
What they're choosing, on the first page of the enrollment agreement. We can add that to break it down because it says it on the first, like what the program name is, but we can fix that on the first part of the enrollment agreement.
Yeah, I mean, I think this goes back to a previous applicant that we had, that if your school is going to be offering both the traditional program and the apprentice program, this needs to be very clear in all of your paperwork, which path the student is choosing, so which program they're choosing and whether they're traditional or apprentice from the get-go. And it does not denote on any of this which one they're choosing.
You need to have it that they need it. Yeah, you have to write it in there.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So here.
And that is page 460 on ours. So if they add a special, would that be okay with the board members if they add a box for apprenticeship versus traditional? And then the program options they've got is aesthetics, nail, eyelashes, and instructor.
Would there need to be an apprenticeship program for each of those? Yeah.
If that's their plan, they'll need a
Yeah.
separate box for
Yeah,
each of them.
need a separate box for
Each one?
each apprenticeship
Okay.
program for each course offered.
Okay.
Also, as well as your professionals for each discipline that your apprenticeship students who would act as the licensed supervising professional for those.
Are those items you want to see before we approve, or we would approve with those items needing to come in?
I'll leave that up to the board for a motion. Is the board comfortable with those updates coming directly to me, or would you like this represented in August?
I make a motion to represent in August.
Can we please get it done today and send the revision today? Okay. Please, please, we've waited.
And those revisions
beyond.
are just fleshing them out, the
Oh, my God.
programs out. What were the revisions again?
Sorry, for me, it was the clarification of which program is the student enrolling in, right? Designating whether that's apprentice or traditional in their enrollment agreement, and being very clear about that. And then I think, Queese, I'll let you, what was yours?
Just the licensed supervisor professionals for each course as well, too. So I don't know if you have those people already outlined and ready to go.
He
but
does.
We would just need the information for
Yep.
those.
We can provide that.
It's on there. It is page 512.
512.
Is who they would use. The other item regarding the separation of apprenticeship versus traditional, to add that space, I think we've approved a school already with those updates coming directly to me. And so I would caution that that's already there. And then we've added to several of the schools on their signature line that they add, that they have signed prior to the payment. I think those were the three main things. List the professionals which are there, separate their traditional from apprenticeship for each of those, and then the signature piece.
Yeah. And
This
then-
is your only professional? He's gonna be doing everybody.
We have other ones. We have like 3 more as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see those listed as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
We
and
can
I-
do that.
And I would like to see the breakdown for each discipline that you have, as far as the percentage of time required before going out to the apprenticeship. Because because of the different programs, I know we have the 50%, but just breaking it down, because, you know, at 150 hours, you can go out for natural hair, and I think the other one was like 350 hours, so that they can know the difference between the programs.
That's on page 460.
I didn't,
I think what would be missing on that chart, so, for example, they're not offering natural
460.
hair, they're offering manicuring, which is the nail, 600, and so it's 600 if it's traditional or the total, and then if it's apprenticeship, theory's 300,
It's broke down.
and practical's 300. I think what's missing on that table would be what the members had asked that previous school, a place for them to check if it's gonna be apprenticeship or traditional.
no, I'm saying for the apprenticeship program.
That's what's missing.
Yes,
There's no
that's what I'm asking
checkbox,
for,
but we've
yeah.
done that for another school already, we have to remember that we've asked a school to add the apprenticeship option versus traditional on their new table, which made it, I think, 10 programs. This would become really 6, and the instructor program is not apprenticeship, it's either, it's at the school, it's 300 hours. Does that help?
Yeah, I mean, so my motion would be that we approve this school contingent on the clarification of traditional program versus apprentice program, specifically the table on 460, our page 460, the enrollment contract, with a very clear outline of how many hours students are going to be spending at the school versus in the field. And then it would be a very clear list of professionals, licensed professionals who are going to take those associate students once they've finished the theory portion of their programs.
And I hate to butt in again, but we had a motion on the table for Mr. Martin.
Oh, was that
So
the same one? I'm sorry.
No,
No,
it's
it was a
very different.
one. I'm good with that. I mean, I'm good with that.
You're
too.
good with that?
I'm good with Amy.
Yeah. We still have to table, so that motion was to deny and present again at the next meeting. Is there being no second, that motion dies? There was no second. Yes, thank you. All right, so that's properly. And Ms. Tanksley, you've made a motion recapping the items that were missing. I don't know if there's any questions, and that would need to be seconded. I will turn it back over to Ms. Russell.
Sorry, we have a motion to approve pending the changes to the enrollment contract. I think that's the first page of your enrollment contract, to ensure that the student knows that they are an apprentice or traditional student, and outlining in the chart there at what point they would leave, they would take their theory test and move over to a licensed professional. And the other thing is to outline all of your apprentice partners.
I second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve with these changes. All in favor? Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, members. We are going to switch over to our legal report. Mike's here and has been waiting on us. If you will use your arrow at the top and make sure to switch to the legal report, I will turn it over to Mike. Thank you.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
There are 121 cases on the legal report. For June, we have 5 represents, 8 barber cases, and 108 cosmetology cases. Before we get to the board's questions and subsequent motion, I found some typos with regard to item number 86, and I'll give you all a second to get to that one. On item number 86, in the second line of that paragraph where it says alleges social media, that should obviously be alleged. And then moving to the next sentence, please see item where it says 95. That should actually be item number 94. And I'll go ahead and make those changes subsequent to today.
Could you explain number 62, please?
Okay. On item number 62, that was an expired shop license expiring on April 30th of 2023. The inspector did issue a notice of violation, and it has not been rectified since that notice of violation has happened. So pursuant to the agreed citation schedule that was adopted back in 2015, that is a first-time violation, so it'd be a $100 civil penalty.
What about number 97?
Item number 97. Even though a notice of violation was not issued by that inspector, as you can see from the information up top, they do have a expired license that expired at July 31st, 2021. So I recommend on that one, sending them a letter of warning, letting them know, hey, your shop license is expired, and give them an opportunity to get that rectified.
So was someone working in the salon?
No, the inspector did not find anyone to substantiate that allegation.
And what about 100?
On item 100, as you will see, back in 2024, there was a situation where there were 2 unlicensed individuals, resulting in a $2,000 civil penalty. And here we are a year later, back in April the 22nd, we found 4 unlicensed individuals. And so based on that factual scenario where they're not getting the idea. So, in the past 24 months, we've found 6 unlicensed individuals. My recommendation would be revocation in that situation. Obviously, the board
Thank you.
gets the final say on that, but that would be my recommendation.
I got a question. So as I'm reading through the legal report, I see a lot where it says, the board does not, negligence doesn't fall under our umbrella. But in the law, it does state malpractice. Now, would malpractice and negligence kind of fall under the same thing?
Which statute are you referring to specifically?
In the Barber, I'd have to pull it up, in the Barber statute where it talks about, reasons for, revocation of your license. You know, it does talk about malpractice in that law. And so I was just wondering, as I'm reading through it, would negligence and malpractice, wouldn't that be kind of one and the same, or no?
Potentially, yes, but I would need to take a look at that specifically in the Barber statutes. And you said that is a Barber statute?
Yep, I can pull it up for you.
Okay, Roxanne, are you familiar with it?
It's 62-3-121, and it says the board may either refuse to issue or renew or may suspend or revoke any certificate of registration for any one or combination of the following causes.
Which subsection is that specifically?
A.
Subsection A?
Yep.
And what does A say?
These are the causes: conviction of a felony for the commission of an offense that bears directly on the person's fitness to practice competently as determined by the board, gross malpractice or gross incompetency is 2.
And that's in subsection A?
Yes,
So
A2.
it would be a felony that relates to malpractice?
No, A2 simply states gross malpractice or gross incompetency. That's it.
I'll have it ready next time.
That's what I'm here for. You're good, Mr. Mayor.
My main
Well,
man, Joe.
What I would say to that is, historically, circuit courts handle negligence actions, and I don't want to get into a situation where we're subsuming a court when we don't have the responsibility of, having cases that would typically fall into that, like a criminal court, general sessions court,
Right.
chancery court, and the like. So what I would want to do is I'd want to study that a little bit more and talk to some other folks in my department to see if we want to start taking on the responsibilities of a circuit court.
Right. I mean, it's in there, and we just covered it in class. We just covered that. And so when I'm reading that, we just automatically, well, now we don't really deal with negligence really,
Yeah.
but it malpractice, gross incompetency.
And you're talking to a former tort lawyer, so I'd be very hesitant to put that on this board.
I got you. I understand completely. I understand, but like I said, it was just a question. It was just a question. That's
Thank
all.
you.
Yes, sir.
And that will be researched. Does the board have any other questions on any other items?
I have a question about the one where you said you will leave it up to the board in regards to revocation of the license. I think it was one that you had, Ms. Judy, 100. So can you enlighten me on like how that worked? Will we discuss that today, or is that something that, how does that work?
Obviously, the board can discuss it, and we can, if the board wants to fashion another remedy, they can do that and vote on it. My recommendations are simply that, recommendations. I'm going on the facts that in 2024, we had 2 unlicensed individuals. They paid the civil penalty, and then April 22nd, we double that up. So that would indicate to me, and hopefully an administrative law judge would agree with me, that that shows a pattern of conduct that I don't think we want to enable.
Yeah, definitely. So we would discuss that today because I'm on board with revocation, especially within that short time frame.
generally we would have a motion to accept.
Yes.
Like we do at the end. So at the end of all of the complaints and answer any questions, the board can, like Ms. McAllister has pointed out, certain ones that you disagree with the recommendation, we would change as we go along. But if you agree at the end, we would have the motion. And Mike and I discussed the revocation pieces at length, because at the last meeting, if the members recall, that was the conversation, is the repeat offenders, is the increased numbers, and you all had a concern with that, and we even discussed our prior recommendation or path used to be those extreme cases with people either hiding or running out the back, and those happened. And that revocation then fell on that third time. But what we're seeing more of is not maybe that extreme, but at the same time, the large civil penalties aren't sinking in, and very soon after, you've got to complain with the same number or more. So the civil penalty that the hope is would deter that and get compliance didn't seem to be working. So the board members, based on the last meeting, recommended that change.
Yes, perfect.
But again, just to follow that up, if the board feels like that's too harsh at this stage, then we could treat it like a second offense and just ask for the $4,000 civil penalty and then wait on a third instance.
Can we get both? Right.
Yes, you can. But typically, when we ask for revocation, we typically do that standing alone.
If no one else has any questions, I make the motion to approve your report.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the legal report. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. You did a fantastic job.
Thank you, and I will do that research. Thank you.
Thank you, members. I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful attorney, Joe, next to me, to go over the legislative updates. Since the session has concluded, he'll go over any bills that have passed, are about to be signed, or have been signed already that impact the industry. Thank you, Joe.
Good morning, board members. I would like to touch on a couple pieces of legislation that will affect our board. The first is Public Chapter 0102. That was signed by Governor Lee on March 28th. And that requires that the Tennessee Advisory Commission on Intergovernment Relations do an economic impact study on the barbering and cosmetology professions. Sorry, I can't speak there. And essentially just requires that we as a program comply with any of their requests for information based on those industries, like licensing numbers or anything like that. The second piece of legislation is Public Chapter 0524. This is also titled the Less is More Act of 2025. That was signed by Governor Lee on May 21st, 2025. That touches three areas within our profession. The first is the statute that deals with master barber reciprocity, 623115A. Uses the word non-resident for applicants that are applying for reciprocity. I think it was a theoretical thought at the beginning that the majority of people that apply for reciprocity are originally not from Tennessee, but unfortunately, the vast majority of people move here and then seek a job. So if you look at the literal word non-resident, if someone moved here and then applied for reciprocity, it could create issues if there wasn't like a military out for them that we could also consider their training and experience. So that has replaced the word non-resident with applicant so that we would be able to approve someone for reciprocity even after they have moved to the state of Tennessee. The second area where that affects our program is board members on the board. Currently, there's a provision that several of the board members that comprise you all are let's see here, hold on a second. It's aesthetics, aesthetics, manicuring natural hair. So the governor now has the ability to appoint either a cosmetologist that practices in those areas or specifically a licensee that holds that specific license. It essentially gives the governor a wider range of people to fill the board, but we're still focused on them having experience within that specific industry. The third is inspections. The bill removed the requirement that shops and schools be inspected annually. The inspection still happens initially, and then the law states that the board can promulgate rules regarding follow-up inspections on shops and schools. So you all will be able to basically set a policy on, this deems inspection or when you want to inspect a school. There is no requirement that every single shop and school in the state be inspected every single year. So that is that bill. And then the final bill is Public Chapter 0294, and that was signed by Governor Lee on April 24th, 2025. And that prohibits the exclusion of any person from membership on a board on the basis of race, color, ethnicity, or national origin. A board shall not establish or operate under race-based policies pertaining to the composition of such entities, including policies on affirmative action, racial preferences, or racial quotas. The statute that touches our board composition at this point in time is 624104G. And a provision on that statute states that the governor should strive to have at least one member on this board as a racial minority. And that has been removed, so essentially race is not considered by the governor when appointing the board. And it's not just specifically this board. That is all boards within the state of Tennessee.
Would that cancel out the age piece as well on there?
It's the basis of race, national origin, and color. So age is not listed on there.
Gotcha. But I know there is, in the Barber statute, I know there is an age.
Strive like 60 or older, yes.
Yeah.
That would remain. It's just the strive for an individual of a racial minority on the board.
I do have a question about the inspections. My question is, if we're no longer going annually, are we just going based on complaints?
That is up for you all to decide. The statute states that the board has the authority to promulgate rules regarding inspections after the initial. So essentially, it'll be up for you all to discuss, and then we can institute rules that would articulate what you believe is best, if that's the way that you feel.
So if we believe it's best, we could just say, well, since the law says you can get inspected after the initial, however, we can make a rule that says we need to be inspected once a year, hypothetically.
Hypothetically, yes.
All right.
And so to Joe's point, we're going to work on rules to define that. So right now, by not having, because it says shall, by removing that, obviously changing locations, initials are going to come first. So one of the things would be to open our shops and our schools faster, as opposed to needing to juggle it all, addressing complaints faster. So if there's a request for a follow-up inspection after a complaint, that's what the inspectors would be there, hopefully, to take care of. Those shops that have gotten 100 every time, and that's something you all will debate for the rules, maybe they don't need to be inspected every year. But the shops that have some issues, we can find a way to put that into the rule and be able to inspect them more often. Does that help?
No. I don't know, I just feel like maybe the reason why we're getting 100s every single time because we know we're gonna get inspected.
We care.
And we care, but I'm saying, we're gonna get inspected, and we care. So we're gonna make sure that everything's in line to receive that high score. Now,
For the ones that don't care.
if I know you're not coming,
Yeah.
what reason do I have to follow the rules? Well, I'm
Now,
just
you
saying.
still wouldn't know we're not coming. I
Okay.
mean, the inspections, and John and I can both, we've lost count how many shops will call because we're a week or two away from when we should have come, right? And we explain, well, we don't have a date to come, and you should know we're coming in a week or two. We actually have the whole year to come based on the territory, the people we've got, and so forth. And so really, that's the goal for the inspection. The shop owners and managers should know we're coming. So what we'll put in rule is, what does that mean? What does that look like? And that'll be something that you all, can start thinking about now. But obviously, the inspections team, along with everything else, is impacted by the cost drastically. So as we look at fees, that is one of the things. Should we handle the important, urgent things faster, and then find a way of how often does that normal inspection, routine inspection need to happen? Do we have any other questions for Joe before we move on?
I apologize for stumbling on those 3 areas, but it was in my notes, I promise.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Okay, members, we are back on our presentation. I'll give everybody a second, and our applications for examination start on page 514, I believe, so give me a minute to switch as well. And these will be our felony applicants that are first. $514. No. Yeah, 514. 514, yeah. I'll make sure everybody's had a chance. First before you are the applications for examination, and these would be our felony applicants. You have Jordan Witherspoon and Frederick Wilson. These applicants have a felony conviction within the last 3 years and/or are incarcerated. The request is for them to take the Tennessee examination to get approved for a license. They provide to the board a letter of recommendation and then a letter about the felony as it took place. The board has also given me the authority between Joe and I to approve anyone that is not incarcerated so that we can get them licensed and working sooner. Those individuals would also be presenting a letter of recommendation and document. And so I will let the members take a look. And in that particular case, Ms. Kimberly Janes has applied via reciprocity. She's already signed her agreed order, and that is before you as well. The board traditionally has approved 2 years agreed orders for these applicants. Once we have the signed order back, we proceed with licensing.
I make a motion these applications are approved.
We have a motion and a second to approve these applicants for testing with the 2-year agreed citation. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. And since we have a new member, I'll take just a quick recap. So the orders that they sign are actually an agreed order for a probationary 2-year license. And that way, and we've been, it has worked very well for this profession. We've never denied applicants, and we've also never had to go to the legal procedure if they do violate within the 2 years. Thank you. Thank you, applicants. Next, under the applications to test is an application from, and I believe I've got her, page 537. This is Ms. LaPortia Lakia Shelley. Ms. Shelley completed a declaration of the school that she attended. She's completed an application to take the exams and stated she finished 1,500 hours. The school she attended, Goshen School of Cosmetology, has closed. The number of hours that the school submitted for her were 112 hours. The student fortunately did have a document that congratulated her for completing her hours, as well as she was able to speak to an instructor that on her behalf did assert that the hours were completed. And so what she's asking is to be allowed to take the exams. The board would, in other words, accept this document and the instructor's piece, given that the school has closed, so that she has her 1,500 hours and can proceed testing. Similar to her situation, after the presentation was put together for you and on SharePoint, I received two other students, Kiana Williams and Adrienne Council, who also attended that school and whose hours are also not accurate. Now, in the two students' case that you don't have before you, it's the same school, but they've not finished. And so one is asking for her 900 hours, the other 712. With the school closed and no longer having any presence in Tennessee, it would be hard to find out how accurate those hours are. So we do need a motion on Ms. Shelley, and then I need some guidance on how to proceed in case we get more students, because I do know that there's more from that school whose hours didn't seem to be accurate.
Question, please. I understand that the schools are to keep the records 7 years. When they close, what happens to the records?
That's a wonderful question. So the accredited schools have an entire path that they're supposed to follow with THEC, with the Tennessee Higher Education Commission. The school, of course, was not accredited. So in theory, their monthly hours reports are supposed to be accurate. That is our record. So this wouldn't be coming before you if I'd been able to find Ms. Shelley, find her 1,500 hours, we would put her into test. But because the hours aren't accurate on that monthly report, I can't give her those hours. I have no way of notice. We lucked out with her because she had that certificate that she was issued and had kept, and that an instructor remembered her and was able to vouch. But otherwise, these students could be stuck. If the school is closed and the monthly hours don't reflect what the student says they had, they would have to come before you. We've had that before with schools that have closed, and the board members have had to make a decision.
I make a motion to these requests.
We have a motion and a second to approve Ms. Shelley to take her test. All in favor? Aye.
Would that be something that we could add as a requirement to schools or something like that, you know, if even when your school closes, right, you should have your records, and those records could be turned over somehow? I don't know, I'm just shooting.
I think it is a requirement. I think they just don't do it.
No, there is no
Not
requirement.
the student
There is-
files. We
There is
don't
no,
take the
there is
student
no
files.
requirement.
Oh, you don't take the student files, so when
No.
they disappear, they disappear.
Right, school closes, everything, I mean, everything kaboof, poof, gone, nothing. There's no requirement there. So could that be something that we could add? That schools have to turn over those, at least 7 years of I mean, that's a stretch, I get it. I understand, I can see it on your face. I see it, I can see it, Joe, I see you over there, man. But I'm just saying, but like, so when we get situations like this though, you know, I mean, I know the Barber law, I know the Barber statute, I know it well. But I mean, there is nothing in there that protects the students if a school closes.
And they don't go to another school.
There's no consequence. There is no consequence there, you know?
Is it, my understanding, the hours have to be turned in by the 10th of the month for the month prior. So the students should also be doing their due diligence and tracking that. And so if the schools are not, and they're supposed to post those for the students to know how many hours have been turned into the board. So there has to be some responsibility on the students' end as well, that they've gotten to the end and those hours have not been turned in. So I do think that there needs to be something as far as schools being held accountable, but we also have to hold the students accountable as well. And if that had not been done, they need to be advocating for themselves at some point.
There we go. Thank you. That is a fantastic point. That is actually the case. The only other thing, and we could, I caution us for getting records from students because of all the confidential information. That includes exam scores, you name it. And I'm not sure how we would even manage scanning that kind of volume. But having said that, we haven't brought this kind of thing before the board in several years. The previous school that we had issues with ended up with the license, surrendering the license. And so generally, this doesn't happen because the hours are tracked correctly, and students get either a text or it's posted on the wall, and so they have a checks and balances for those number of hours. So it's something to think about. The good thing, again, is we haven't presented this request in a very long time. It's 2-3 years, maybe longer. that we've presented it. So it doesn't happen that often, but it could. So we've got a solution for Ms. Shelley. How comfortable is the board? I can reach out to the same educator and give her the names of these two students. This is a licensed instructor in Tennessee, licensed in good standing. And if the hours aren't close to what the student has, right? So if someone says they have 900, I'm gonna be asking for, and they haven't sent it to me yet, proof that, something that proves those hours were confirmed by the school. So if the school didn't submit everything timely or got it wrong, then I've got a document at least that shows. Yes. Could anyone that's on Teams make sure that you're muted? Okay, thank you. I think it's taken care of. So I can do that, follow up with that, check with the instructor. Is the board comfortable with me releasing the number of hours as long as I can get some checks and balances on those? Or would you, and obviously if they're off a lot, I would, and I don't have anything, I'd bring it back before the board in August.
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, so am I, and I just recently spoke with Jessica about 5 students that called from another school that weren't able to get their information, and Jessica does a really great job of giving all of the things that they could do or submit before having to come before us. So if they can produce those things and they don't have to come before us, it can give it to Ms. Roxana. But she broke it down very clearly in the email to me just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and essentially you would then approve those hours that they submit. We do some research, and then they would be able to transfer those hours to a school to finish.
Correct, that's their goal. Now, if the hours are way off, because these particular students haven't sent me anything else, I would have to bring them before you with whatever they can provide. But if I can see, or the instructor vouches if it's okay with the board, I would put them through based on their attestation.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I think that I would be comfortable with that if we have something from the student as well as some entity of the school. Something from the student stating these are your grades and hours at this particular time. Something that has to, I don't want somebody who's been in school for 50 hours to say, oh, I had my 1,500 without. So I do need some kind of proof, but if you have some kind of proof that they are able to provide to you, then yes, I'm okay with you approving those.
That could possibly be a solution as once a student graduates from school, that the school has to provide them with a completed transcript or a certificate of completion or something like that. That's just kind of your receipt. So regardless whether you test now or you test 10 years from now, you got this receipt, right? We know the hours are good for 7 years, whatever. So as long as you test within the window or whatever, you got a receipt of such. You know, I provide this to my students, but, you know, it's not a requirement though, you know?
So it is a requirement for them to
requirement.
do a withdrawal transfer form, and they have to provide this to the students. Now,
If they leave, those that finish are put into PSI.
Gotcha.
And so we can tap into PSI to know that they uploaded Marquise or Roxana in time. So that graduation requirement that you all look at on the applications is really important for that reason. They've got to give them something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it seems like the issue here was improper reporting throughout the entirety of them being a student, and then the school just shut down. So it's not necessarily just with them withdrawing or when they're graduating. The issue is reporting while they're a student.
And this student lucked out because she did have that document and the instructor. So if it's good with the board, I will make sure to get more information from the students. They've signed and notarized and attested what they have, but I'll need some checks and balances from an instructor, that completion document, something else, or it would come before you in August if it needs to.
Do you need a motion from us to approve that?
Yes, please, so that I can use that going forward, especially if there's more from the school.
Okay, then I'll make a motion that the board is able to investigate and accept those hours without needing to come before us.
I'll second it.
Yes.
we have a motion and a second to allow Roxana and her office to accept those hours with some kind of documentation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, members. We are going to move on to our reciprocity applications. We don't always have these, and you have, I believe, 3 before you. First application for a barber license from Texas for Mr. Anwar Soufan. I believe he's been on the call with us, waiting patiently, so thank you for being there. The certification shows that Mr. Soufan has a Class A barber license, which only requires 1,000 hours. Texas, along with California and New York, have dropped hours. Of course, they're all at 1,000 instead of the 1,500. He does have international education, which reflects 3,200 hours between 2014 and 2016, which he completed in 2002. And then, of course, in Texas, his certificate shows that he has taken the examination. My recommendation would be that we approve his reciprocity barber license.
I make a motion that's approved.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this reciprocity for licensure. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next on your iPads on page 553, this is an application for reciprocity of a cosmetology license from Nevada for Nai Tuyet Luang. The certification came from a different state. The office confirmed that the certification and the license information was not sent by the Nevada Cosmetology Board, nor does the information match this particular person. Ms. Long also applied for an aesthetics license via reciprocity from Texas. She currently holds a manicure license since 2021 in Tennessee from a school that has been revoked. For those three reasons, my recommendation is that the cosmetology and aesthetics license be denied at this time, given that the documents have been fraudulent.
I make that motion.
Second, third, fourth.
We have a motion to deny the reciprocity of this individual. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, members. At the next meeting, potentially, you'll have an increase in complaints. This fraudulent information for certifications has really increased, so between John and I, we'll divide and open those up. I think some of it has to do with different trends. We're not the only state seeing it, so I appreciate that. Next, you do have an application for reciprocity. This is a manicure license from Virginia for Phuong Ngoc Dong. Certification reflects a license was issued in December 2001. The applicant had a Tennessee manicure and aesthetics license. Both of these were revoked in 2014. I believe as part of the documents, you can see the history for that revocation. My recommendation is to deny reciprocity.
Make the motion to deny.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to deny reciprocity. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, members. We have a miscellaneous item, and this is an application for the request to pursuant to Tennessee 62-4-114A, which states that a cosmetology instructor may, for good cause, be granted up to 1 additional year to complete their 16 hours of continuing education. The board may, for good cause, such as a medical hardship or death in the immediate family, approve the extension. Ms. Candace Bracel, let me get to the right page. There we go. Ms. Candace Bracel provided a letter requesting a one-time extension. This would have been her first time to complete the continuing education. She ended up taking it 1 month late. I know the board has given me authority if a session is a week or two behind when they needed to renew. So she's never been granted this extension, but she was a month late and would need to retest if it's not approved by the board.
Make a motion to grant the extension.
We have a motion and a second to grant the extension. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, members. The next item, kind of fun, looking ahead at 2026. On your iPads on page 576, we've got our board meetings scheduled for the first Monday every other month, starting with February the 2nd. If there are any changes that you see needed, please let me know. Otherwise, once approved, we will add these to the website. And I think I emailed these dates to everyone as well, but I'm happy to send them again.
Do we need an approval of the schedule?
Yes, I would need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the meeting dates for 2026. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, members. The last item that we've got is our financial, before we have our new business, our financial breakdown. You've got on page 577, the numbers as of March, showing the board at with a surplus of $29,601, bringing the year-to-date surplus at $1,211,239. This is information only. But by the next month, which is our March numbers, they just came in, we're at a deficit again. So we don't vary a whole lot. We're just in that pocket where, we bring in over $3 million and we spend over $3 million. It just depends on the month. But at this point, we're not addressing fee increase. We're just going to have to look at that next year and see what that information is. Any questions regarding? Okay. Hearing nothing, we're going to move on to new business. I think we're good with our time right now. You have before you, starting on page 579, a request to address, and it's also been posted on the agenda, asynchronous education. Ms. Nikki England was going to be here.
Roxanne, I'm here.
Oh, good to see you. Hi, good morning.
Good to meet you in person.
Good to see you in person. Give me just a minute.
I don't know how she gets her emails answered so quickly. I really don't.
I'll give you just a second, thank you. And I know we have Ms. Karina Santaro participating virtually. So you've got general information here before you. This is a conversation mostly, and hopefully we can answer some of Ms. Nikki's questions. You have the information before you, and I'll let Ms. Russell, I'll turn it over to you. Ms. Karina is also available to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
First off, welcome. Would you like to take some time to talk about your program that you're proposing?
Sure, if it's appropriate, I have some information to share with the board. First of all, thank you for allowing me to be here. My name's Nikki England. I have spent the last 18 years of my career, my whole career, in fact, in our sector, running campuses across 6 markets in 2 different states, including Tennessee, where I was born and raised, and as a side note, thankful to be living back in. Most recently, I served as the president of a 9-campus school group in Texas, where we offered programs like welding, IT, HVAC, cosmetology, aesthetics, and medical assisting. During that time, I led the successful integration of distance education into several of our hands-on programs, including HVAC, welding, cosmetology, CMVO, and electrical technician. Today, I lead a consulting group called the England Influence, where I partner with schools to elevate and sustain exceptional student education. I'm here today because I have a prospective client in Tennessee who is interested in offering asynchronous distance education delivery for their cosmetology program. It is my understanding that the board has not yet approved asynchronous delivery, so I am seeking your guidance on what would be needed to gain such approval. I am also hoping to illustrate that with the right regulatory guardrails, asynchronous delivery for theory education can be just as effective as traditional models, and in many cases, more accessible and engaging for our students. I'd like to walk you through a few reasons why asynchronous delivery works, how it's already succeeding in other states, and how Tennessee could implement it responsibly. Can I continue on, please, ma'am? Thank you. To begin, asynchronous learning keeps the industry competitive with other skilled trades. Today's students, as you well know, especially working adults that are seeking a new career change, are having to make practical decisions about how to choose their education based on flexibility, affordability, the time they have to dedicate, and of course, long-term opportunity. As a part of that process, students are often comparing programs like cosmetology to other programs such as nursing, dental assisting, respiratory therapy, and medical assisting. These other trade programs offer flexible, asynchronous options for instruction, while cosmetology programs in Tennessee lack this option. This means that a working mom that really wanted to be a hairdresser may end up needing to become a medical assistant just because she can't afford to take the time it takes to maintain the hours of a traditional cosmetology program. If we want top-tier students to choose cosmetology in the state of Tennessee over other fields, we must make it viable for them to do so. Rigid, synchronous-only class requirements puts our programs at a disadvantage. And it's not just about accessibility, it's about how our students learn best. Most are digital natives who thrive when they can learn at their own pace, revisit material often, and engage on their own schedules. These tools do not lower the bar. They simply meet students where they are. If we want the beauty industry to remain strong, relative, and competitive, we must evolve with the times, not by changing what we teach, but by modernizing. Additionally, asynchronous learning has proven successful in other states. Over 20 states, including large states like Florida, California, and Texas, have already allowed asynchronous learning for cosmetologists. These states have been offering this for many years and have not experienced declines in student attendance, licensure exam pass rates, practical readiness, or overall satisfaction as a result. In fact, many of these schools report stronger academic engagement and higher student satisfaction due to this flexibility and accessibility. I have been working with a cosmetology school client in Texas that has been offering asynchronous learning for their cosmetology students for over 4 years, and they have actually improved attendance and completion rates without any decline to their licensure rates. Another thing to consider, asynchronous learning is supported by the Department of Education and national accreditors. The U.S. Department of Education and accrediting agencies such as NACAS and COE support asynchronous theory instruction for clock hour programs like cosmetology, with the understanding, of course, that attendance is properly tracked, seat time is equivalent, student progress is monitored, and instructors maintain academic oversight at all times. Importantly, both the department and accreditors have guardrails in place to ensure the quality we need, the quality my bangs need. Institutions must meet required thresholds for student outcomes such as graduation, job placement, and licensure pass rates. In addition, schools are required by their accreditor to conduct annual competitive analysis to evaluate whether students in distance learning formats are performing on par with those in traditional programs. And lastly, asynchronous learning can be adopted responsibly in Tennessee with guardrails and technology. As far as I can tell, Tennessee law does not prohibit asynchronous instruction in cosmetology. This board has the opportunity to implement a smart, well-regulated model that expands access to learners while preserving accountability. I'm going to use Texas as an example since that state is fresh on my mind and I have plenty of experience. In this state, asynchronous instruction is permitted under 3 safeguards. Number 1, only the theory portion of the curriculum may be delivered remotely. Hands-on practical training must always occur on campus. Number 2, no more than 50% of the total program may be completed through distance education. And number 3, the learning platform that delivers the asynchronous theory must be pre-approved by a regulatory agency. These guardrails have helped to maintain strong student outcomes for our industry. Many of you are familiar with Milady. Many of you in the room are familiar with Milady. Milady is the largest provider of training materials for cosmetology students, and they have a platform called SEMA. This is built specifically for asynchronous cosmetology education and compliance. This system captures every minute that a student spends engaging with the material, offering far more precise attendance tracking than regular traditional on-campus time clocks. To help illustrate how these systems work in practice, of course, Ms. Karina Santoro, General Manager of Milady, is on Teams with us to provide a brief overview of the program, of the platform's capabilities. Karina?
Thank you, Nikki. Hello, board. Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. And as Nikki said, as you may know, Milady has been the leading provider of educational materials to beauty schools for 97 years. So we definitely have developed a very deep knowledge of the needs of beauty schools and clock era programs. And we developed the SEMA platform specifically for clock hour beauty education programs. We developed the courses on that platform to specifically maximize student engagement and outcomes and provide schools with the robust time tracking and reporting capabilities that they need so that they can effectively offer asynchronous education opportunities to their students while maintaining high standards of educational quality and outcomes. Since we launched our SEMA platform in April of 2020, we have served more than 1.9 million monthly active students at more than 3,000 schools through more than 20,000 unique courses. Through those courses, students have submitted more than 8 million assignments. And I share those data points with you because I want you to know that this platform has been vetted and its efficacy has been proven. I would like to speak very briefly on the platform functionality that supports asynchronous education. So our courses are developed with a variety of learning activities to ensure that students remain engaged. And those activities include multiple choice, fill in the blank, and true-false style quizzing, image labeling games, matching games, discussion questions where students engage asynchronously online on an assigned topic, and then real-world scenario choose-your-own-adventure style activities designed to help students connect their choices to real-world outcomes. To support connections with other students and with the educator, the SEMA platform offers multiple ways to interact, including direct instant messaging, group messaging, chat rooms and message boards, and direct email within the platform. And lastly, and I'm sure very important to the board, there are robust technologies in place to support asynchronous time tracking. And those include a secure username and password, event tracking, which logs every mouse click and keyboard stroke that a student takes, a detailed recording of how many minutes, hours, and seconds a student is engaged with each activity in the platform, security features that automatically stop tracking time and log the student out of the platform if they become inactive, and also security features that prevent simultaneous logons using the same username and password. I would very much welcome the opportunity to provide the board with a full demonstration of the SEMA platform and provide you with access to the platform so that you can feel confident that beauty schools in Tennessee can effectively offer asynchronous theory education and better serve their students while remaining compliant with the guidelines that you establish. I know we're short on time, so are there any questions or concerns about the platform that I can answer for you today?
I have one question. The security feature that you said will automatically clock the student out when there's no activity. Have you all been able to correct that or make the change on that when they're actually reading in their ebook? Because we use SEMA at our school, and when the students are reading the ebook, it times them out, although they're still in their class time. So has that?
Yes.
Has that
Yeah,
been
so
corrected?
we did release a feature. Well, there's two features that we released. One is a feature that if a student is going to become inactive and get logged out, there's a pop-up with an audible alert that says to the student, hey, you're about to be logged out. So if they are reading the ebook and the platform perceives them to not be doing anything, they will get that alert and they can know to click something. We've also released features for schools that are using the platform for in-classroom education to allow them to lengthen the session time before that pop-up occurs.
And then my last question is, as far as the students being able to skip through the coursework, they can just like skip the videos. They don't have to watch, certain courses. If there's a video to watch, you can't just skip to the end of the video and then go to the next thing. I can't think of the name for that, but the students are able to just skip through, so they can do it without actually completing that particular activity and then just get to the end of the course. Is there something in place for that, that will be put in place if we did the,
Yes, yeah. So the SEMA platform has features that actually will not allow a student to move on to the next activity until they complete an activity, including videos. They cannot drag the bar to the end and say, I've watched the video, if they haven't actually watched the video. Does that answer your question?
yes, thank you.
Any other questions for Karina? Thank you, Karina. In closing.
You're welcome.
Thanks. In closing, I am trying to help an existing cosmetology school in Tennessee that is currently teaching students on campus in a traditional format that would like to begin using asynchronous education, hybrid delivery for the theory-only portion of their school. I am seeking guidance from the board on what would be needed from the school to demonstrate compliance and gain approval for this hybrid program. The school would continue to have students attending on campus 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, but the students would be able to supplement their hands-on training with this asynchronous theory instruction that could be completed at the student's convenience. And as a career education graduate myself, right out of high school, had to work full-time because I had a family that could not assist me. I can tell you that that flexibility would have been very helpful to me 18 years ago, and I think it'll be helpful to our students in 2025. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Ms. Russell?
Do members of the board have any guidance for her? Do you have anything that you would like to say?
I have a question. What does that look like as far as the day goes? Because 10% of their week of instruction is hybrid. So if they're there 40 hours, 4 hours of that is only hybrid for them for the week, correct?
Correct, that's right.
So you're wanting to offer asynchronous to allow more flexibility in their schedule for 4 hours?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so does that look like just shortening their day?
That's what it's like right now. I'm sure the client could provide alternative schedules if the board wanted to see those. But right now, it's Monday through Friday, and it shortens their day, yes, ma'am.
By an hour? If it's, well, or 45 minutes per se?
Correct.
So is Milady packaging these courses currently, or is somebody developing them for this school? Where are they coming from?
Karina?
Can you clarify what you mean by the courses?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand.
She asked to clarify what you mean by the courses.
The different aspects that you're looking at putting online.
Sure.
So rather than just intro to cosmetology and X hundred hours later you're finished, you're breaking it down into sub-courses. So who's putting those sub-courses together right now to include the course lessons and the testing? Is each one of the schools going to do it independently?
So, okay, can I answer that? Yeah, so we provide the course fully built out with everything that the school would need for a student to have a complete learning path. And the platform also provides the flexibility that schools need to be able to move the content around and break it into smaller lessons to accommodate their specific state and their state requirements. So schools do take what we provide out of the box and then further customize it based on the regulations of the state that they're in.
So how are you ensuring test integrity? If they're
So
taking these
the
tests
plat,
online, how do you ensure integrity of the test?
yeah, the platform has a variety of Safe Exam browser features and password features. So schools can turn on both Safe Exam browser, which locks the browser down when they take the test, and then they can also password protect the test, so students can't even access the test until they're given the password.
I've got that part, but I teach for a university. So some of ours, the system will lock down if it looks like their eyes are going in different directions or they're accessing material that's not allowed. Are those checks and balances in your testing program? I'm
It
hearing
prevents
nothing.
them from, it prevents them from accessing alternate browsers. It does not track their eyes to see, are they looking at something, on a phone. I do know that, and Nikki, please, step in if you'd like to take over here. I do know that some states, even when they allow asynchronous distance education, require that the testing be done on campus.
So, and please forgive me, I'm deaf, but, so the testing will be done potentially at their home rather than at a testing center. Is that what I'm understanding?
It is in Texas. It is done at their home. But if the board would provide that as feedback and you're not comfortable with that, I'm sure that the client would take that in consideration in the application for hybrid instruction. If you were uncomfortable with the testing being at home, of course, they're at school 5 days a week. So that's something that we could discuss as an option on campus.
I'm comfortable with really any testing model as long as there was integrity assured in the process.
Of course.
And, I mean, the idea of asymmetric classes, I'm personally happy with. It's just that next model of, are we really validating competency in that lesson before they move on to the next one?
Understood. Yes, sir.
And so,
Thank you.
again, we use SEMA at our school. I love it. As far as we're natural hair, we only have one textbook. And so we have taken the full SEMA cosmetology program, pulled out the matching chapters from the natural hair textbook to be able to integrate the SEMA, but it's still done in class. Students still have questions. They're still, for that student who has never done their own hair or don't have any knowledge of cosmetology or barbering or any of our specialties, they still have questions. And although we do live in a society where everyone has this phone in their hands, they're still not as competent as people would think when it comes down to sitting there in front of their tablet or their laptop or whatnot, and able to go through these type of programs without a teacher being present or, there with them. There are still a lot of questions at hand. Again, I love SEMA, but my teacher is still present. They may watch the video and then the teacher comes back on and they're asking questions and then they're going through the quizzes and things together. So again, I love it, but I'm not for sure, like you said, the integrity of the testing, or if schools will begin to use this as we've said before, a babysitter or a crutch, not to have a teacher, but just have everybody logging in, doing their own thing. As long as the integrity is there, I agree with you. Yeah.
What about
If
allocations
I can,
for students with learning disabilities, dyslexia, I think, are we taking into auditory processing? Do they have the ability to listen to the lessons? What's the availability for students who need additional help? When we're dealing with didactic versus tactile learners, I think that there has to be some real oversight and some plans put in place. I'm 100% for asynchronous learning within the right context and within the right portions of it. Would need some more reassurance on how those students who need some additional help would be able to be supported.
Absolutely. To speak to your concerns, 100% agree. That was 10 years ago when this came to me. I was scared to death and had plenty of questions myself. And I would like to remind the board that the students will be on campus 5 days a week and that we continue to do strenuous classroom observations, making sure that this platform is being used as an addition to their learning with their educator and, of course, their practical learning. And then this is a request to submit an application for an additional hybrid program in addition to their current traditional program. So the student would always have the option. And then, of course, if there were learning needs necessary for a student upon enrollment, we would address that no differently than we address it now. And if that was something that they couldn't successfully do, we'd create an academic plan around such things. Great question.
Earlier, Lori, you asked the question about would this cut down their day by 45 minutes or whatever it might be, but I would remind you that what was stated was up to 50% of their education. So it could be keeping them out of the classroom that much longer.
Ask you a question. How does that look with what our requirements are? So is it that they do 10% is the minimum requirement?
It is a minimum.
So we're saying if we approve this based upon what this school is asking, then up to 50% of that, so 750 hours, you're saying they would possibly keep them out of the hands-on classroom?
I believe in your packet, I'm not sure if it made it in there, Roxana, there is an example of that curriculum. If not, I can get that for you so that you could see exactly which portions would be able to be taught asynchronously versus the practical.
Ms. Russell, do we have is there a limit to what the board, and I don't remember off the top of my head, of what is allowed for that? Or is that something that we would have to say?
It states a minimum of 10%. It never said a maximum. So, again, it would be, I guess, a business decision for them to tell us what they would like to, what that would look like. I was struggling with this, and in the effort to save some time, I just kind of wrote a statement as to my personal feelings about the asynchronous education. This is me. It's not the board members. It is me personally. And it stems from my extensive research into AI recently in the last year or so. I want to address the growing concern for integrity in asynchronous education, especially as it relates to cosmetology and barbering. Cheating in online classes is easier than ever. Without face-to-face interaction, it is possible for someone else to log in, complete assignments, respond to emails, and even participate in discussions undetected. A 2023 anonymous poll revealed that 61% of students that are studying online admitted to having someone else complete all or portions of their work, and 47% said that they relied on AI to execute challenging tasks. Artificial intelligence tools have the capabilities of logging in and out of class timely. They can generate convincing work that mimics students' tone, including intentional errors that can be designed to earn only average grades to avoid suspicion. On the flip side, some schools use AI to create lesson plans, lead discussion forums, and grade assignments, raising concerns about the integrity of both education and outcome when AI is evaluating work that is also generated by AI. Realistically, tech-savvy students could automate their entire coursework without ever engaging in a class. We're on the cusp of reliving some of the same scenarios that we've seen in the past. This could easily become a more complicated and technical way of selling hours to students who've never attended classes. Cosmetology and barbering are close contact, hands-on professions. Our students are preparing to work directly with the public where real-time skills and safety matter. The best training takes place under the supervision of a licensed instructor who can guide, correct, and ensure that the students doing the work are the ones that are earning the hours. I understand student struggles. I've lived them as a single mom and caregiver to a terminally ill grandfather while attending cosmetology school. I know how hard it is to make it to class, but we must balance compassion with responsibility. We are not just issuing licenses, we are protecting the safety of thousands of Tennesseans that enter salons and shops for services. We approve more and more schools at each meeting with varying full and part-time programs, many with night and weekend schedules, so education on a tight schedule will be possible. I have worked with the National Licensure Exam for years, and while the exam is solid, it cannot replace hands-on supervised learning. Technology has its place, and I continually learn how to integrate that into the classroom every day, but it must be used wisely and with moderation. For these reasons, I don't foresee myself personally ever supporting asynchronous education in this industry. I feel like the risks are simply too high.
Thank you for that, and I need to remind the board that I agree with you. We are not asking that any of the practical learning and the students be moved to any other platform other than hands-on, and the students will have to prove competency with every single check sheet item in the campus in front of a teacher one-on-one in the same environment they have it now. We're simply asking for guidance on what might be allowed for the theory portion to be asynchronous. And if the board decides that that means that it's not up to 50% or that that testing needs to be done on campus, I'm sure the client would be more than willing to have those conversations. Karina, did you have anything to add in terms of the integrity?
No, except that if the board does have would like specific examples of how the platform handles things, we'd be certainly happy to provide those.
Just to kind of clarify, if you look in, I'm looking at 200-1 in the rules, and so it'll outline the curriculum, right? And so it tells us in the curriculum clearly a minimum 1 hour theory class per day, right? And then it apportions all your chemical and your general and your hands-on, all that stuff. So it clearly maps it out. So it can't possibly be 50% unless you would be working contrary to what the rule is already laid out for us.
I think there might be a slight difference between barbering and
And
cosmetology in that it's very similar, but.
But would it equal out? So an hour a day, gives us our theory time, so it would be just a little different, right? It couldn't equal out to 50%, right? Unless you wouldn't be completing all of your chemical, all your hands-on. You wouldn't be completing any of that if you did all of this stuff asynchronous. So, I get it. I would be more inclined to look more at that than having a student go and practice under a licensed professional, right? I would feel safer leaving them in the schools for the hands-on and letting them do asynchronous, with everything that everyone said too. Now, integrity is key
Absolutely.
to this, But I would be more open to look at that, just being in terms of what we talked about today, right? I would feel safer having a student in the school learning under a licensed professional hands-on wise versus the theory piece, not saying that I agree or anything like that, but just keeping an open mind.
Thank you.
I think,
Thank you, sir.
in
Yes.
terms of everything that we've talked about. I think it's just a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope, and I think the board does a very good job of protecting the integrity of what we do. And so that's why it's a tough decision. That's something that'd be hard to let go of.
And I think we need to look at the fact that now, because we're doing so many more apprenticeship schools, that's given a whole lot more flexibility to people who can't maybe do the traditional Monday through Friday 9 to 5. There's a lot more options, as we saw how many schools with apprenticeship programs they had this morning. So I think there's a lot of things that we would have to really look at to weigh that out.
Yes, ma'am. Understood.
Do any other I mean, you work with a lot of the boards. Do other boards allow asynchronous hours?
Do you mean other state cosmetology and barber boards or other professions within commerce and insurance in Tennessee?
Other professions within Tennessee?
Yes, they allow the different schools. They allow continuing education to be completely remote. It just varies there. It's hard to, compare us maybe to an architect course or an engineer or accountancy, right? But I think in general, there is some asynchronous learning going on in different professions. On your documents, there's the map that shows which states. I was surprised that many states within cosmetology and barber allow asynchronous education. And as you know, I'm involved with, the cosmetology compact, aesthetics is coming, all those different conversations. Most states, at least say that it's hybrid but it's all synchronous. So, but they're probably all moving with the trends, just like you're seeing here. They're approving it or have been approving it, and, it probably varies.
I always, when I talk to people from other states, I tell them there's no place like Tennessee. And so there are certain things that other people do allow in their states that if we allowed it in our states, I wouldn't see you all in August. It would be, really no need for us if we keep lowering the standard. My question, and I know it's at the discretion of the schools, but just to put this on everybody's mind, for those that receive Title IV funding, I think it's only 10% distant learning in order to qualify for the Title IV. Has that percentage changed, or is that still the same that you all know of? And so, yeah, and I know it'll be at the discretion of the school, but at the same time, again, this is
This is Karina again. Schools can offer more than 10% of their program and still be eligible for Title IV funding.
do you have the percentage, Karina? Because I'd like to kind of.
I believe the department, we can follow up for sure, but I believe the Department of Education doesn't specify a percentage, and that they defer to what the state and the accreditor rules allow. And most states allow up to 50%, but not all. Some cap it at 25 or 30%. And, I think the important thing to think about here is that the portion that we're asking to be considered for asynchronous distance ed is the portion of the learning that is more similar to architecture or engineering or other degrees. It's the science, it's the chemistry, it's the electricity, and then it's reinforced by students coming into the school every day, interacting with the instructors verifying what they know. And as I said earlier, some states require that testing and proof of that knowledge be done on campus. So there's many ways that it's being offered, but asynchronous theory education is offered in many states throughout the country.
Members, I hate to interrupt us, and we let Nikki and Karina know that they would have 15 minutes, so we've fortunately been able to get quite a bit of your questions done, but we need to wrap up by 12:30. I need to also make sure that anyone that's here in person or remote has 5 minutes left to, question or ask anything that's on the agenda. That's a statutory requirement. Are there any last-minute questions that you need to get in? If not, I'll be happy to continue working with Karina and Nikki and just kind of see what they decide to present.
We would never say that you cannot present an asynchronous pathway. So that will be completely up to you and your business decision if you would like to present as an asynchronous school. And we will look at it and make that determination when it is presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Russell.
Thank you very much. Dana, just in case you've got someone, we're going to open the meeting up for the last 5 minutes. Is there anyone with a hand raised or participating virtually regarding things that presented on the agenda? We've got about 5 minutes left. Just checking with you first.
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Anyone here that needed to address the board?
I would like to ask a question about what she had to say. We're at pivot points.
You need to be on the record.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, sweetie. And I hate to cut you off, but you literally have 5 minutes.
Okay.
So.
We're a pivot point school, so I would like to know if that was approved. Would that be approved for any curriculum? I'm not saying it would be, but would that be all
It'd have to be
curriculums
presented,
included?
Right?
Okay. 'cause
Yeah,
they
we
do
would
the same
not
thing.
pick on one versus the other.
Okay.
My question was regarding a conversation earlier regarding the hours once you've completed the school and the school has closed. I think I spoke with you like a week or two ago about receiving hours from a school that closed. My school closed 4 months after I completed it. There was no close down process. So for me to continue my education and move on to a university, I needed a transcript from every school that I had attended. That was the only school that prevented me from being able to start and utilize the hours that I received in cosmetology school to apply towards credits, because I didn't have verification that I had attended that school. So I don't know, based on the conversation, is there gonna be a policy or something that even puts the responsibility on the school as an exit process to give a transcript, even if it's not official? It's just some type of documentation from the school that requires the student to keep track of that if they need to present that back to the board for hours or anything like that? Because, I mean, for me, I'm having to start over from scratch because I can't validate the hours that I've received to receive credit towards those.
So I think some of that was addressed, whatever the student has, they can
Well, I don't have
present.
anything, that's the thing. They didn't give me anything. So I have nothing that shows, other than the completion, which they won't accept a certificate of completion from the program to show
Who is they?
any college. So I've applied to an MTSU. We have a program that bridges our hours into credits to give us a bachelor's degree, but I cannot use my license that I have now and the hours, the credit hours that we receive towards that, because I don't have a transcript.
I don't know that we can make a school that's closing do something if they've just closed and left, right? So there is a mandatory report, it should be accurate, students should get some updates of hours. I'll be happy, what I issue for schools, by the way, that are accredited, and financial aid has been given, all Tennessee schools except my letter says, I'm so sorry, we don't require transcripts in our statute, but the school is closed, and I give them the date of the school. So far, no school has not accepted my letter.
Okay.
But it doesn't say how
Oh,
many
which-
hours you did, because I may not know how many hours you did, but if it's there, I provide those letters.
Oh, that's
All the
awesome.
time.
Okay.
All the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Russell, anything else? We may need to adjourn pretty soon, but I'll leave it up to the board if you've got anything else.
Is there anything
Motion to adjourn?
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, members. Thank you to all the students that stuck around and instructors.